boy,
The
they'll never get the
pre-ramble.
pre-ramble, but they can have the pre-ramble.
They can have the pre-ramble. Best pre-ramble. It looks like it's working. The date's changed. Everything's good in there. Nice.
So what's one of the big topics you want to talk about
Oh,
besides
I
the
mean,
obvious?
besides the ones that I've started putting in chat, uh,
Oh man,
yeah.
I didn't see.
I want to talk about the FSR thing because I think people are making a big deal out of fucking nothing, and I'm the right person to talk about that.
What was the FSR thing?
Um, I put the link to it in the in
All right,
Discord.
because I feel like I saw that, but I want to
Yeah,
make sure.
AMD's FSR is exclusive. Isn't There's no DLSS or NVIDIA features in Starfield.
Yes, I do remember seeing that.
Yeah, I'll
Didn't they
get
say
into
they
it
were
more when we
partnering
actually
with
start, but it's a
AMD
nothing
or something?
burger. Yeah, they're
Yeah,
partnering with AMD. It's a nothing burger, and I've got.
yeah, it's basically a sponsorship.
Well, I'll get into it when we get into it, but
Mm.
I know people act like DLSS is like the greatest feature ever. There are
It's
more
not used
games
that
that
often.
exist. There are more games that come out that don't use it than people
Yeah.
think. Like it's useful,
Oh, of course.
but it makes sense for them to partner with AMD because they're going to have a console version that uses FSR too.
Yeah.
Because if you watch that video, it's what it says straight up. Um,
The fact that they went after Square in 2019, though, is at least.
this is the thing. It said considered. It doesn't say that there might not have been any talks about it. So I want to get into that
Oh, yeah.
more.
No, I don't mean the fact that it's like they jumped. I just mean the fact that everyone was giving them shit for so many years. Where are the Japanese games? Why don't we have these on here? I'm just saying, at least even 4 years ago, probably more than that, but they were always
Did you
aware of
have
what the
the
problem was.
Do you have the list, the leaked list?
Which list?
The list of studios and stuff that they were thinking of buying.
Oh, yeah, I have that somewhere. I could find that real quick.
Yeah,
You
I don't.
talking about like the detailed
Yeah, because this is
ones they
gonna
were
be
thinking
all
about?
ABK probably. The Starfield bit's
Yeah.
gonna be really short. I'm gonna go into it. We're gonna talk about it, and then everything's gonna be all the shit that came out of the ABK stuff
Yeah.
because
Well,
this is the
ironically,
one of
so
the rare
little of it
times.
was ABK. It was like a showcase.
Yeah, well, we found out some interesting stuff.
Yeah. Most of it not related to ABK, but stuff we'd been hoping we'd see. Some weird emails too.
The emails have been kind of like nothing burgers.
Some of them have just been fascinating to see the uh the actual way people have been feeling, quote unquote. Like the stuff Jim Ryan's been saying that doesn't match anything he's been talking about. And I'm sure it goes both ways, of course, but that's just what's been leaked so far.
Yeah, I don't have one way or the other.
I think it is saved in this folder. Yes. I have the consideration set, the like 50 devs and couple publishers.
Yeah, just put it in the chat so I can look at it.
Yeah, all right. I don't think I saved the others, but I know where they were saved, so I can just grab those real quick.
Yeah, because I saw some of them and I'm like, these make sense to purchase.
Yeah, that's the
Like,
thing. A lot of them were like things that they're missing and need, but a lot of them are also things that would reinforce the stuff we do have.
yeah, we'll go
So
over
it
that.
was great.
Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate that it wasn't just, what are we missing? Toss one of those guys in. It was more like, oh, this would help this studio out, and this would be great for this reason. All right, so there is that one.
yeah, that's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, there were two or three others. I'll just see if I can find them real quick because they were close by. Oh, that's right. I was looking too recently. I forgot it's been like a week since the stuff started because it was right before the weekend.
Yep. Oh, it's been such a wild ride. I honestly don't think the FTC's case is that strong. And I think
I
every
never
time
thought
we
it was
see more
very strong.
stuff, it keeps
It's getting
looking
worse for
weaker
them.
and weaker and
Yeah,
weaker.
it's funny because
I'm
at
not a
first I
lawyer
was like,
though, but that's the thing. It's like we
oh
get
yeah,
lawyers commenting on stuff, and I'm like,
I'm mixed because I never thought they had a strong case to begin with, but every time I see them go up, it looks like they're just inviting people to poke more holes into the already pretty flawed things they've got going. Um, but like I
perfect.
said, I'm not a lawyer, so I
I'm
can't
not a
really
lawyer.
say
The lawyers are
legally
enjoying
which
the
way things
heck
are
out of
going.
this, though. I'm liking
Oh yeah,
all the sweet details we're getting.
definitely. I also like how people are getting yelled at for just providing the facts, which shows who's more like aligned with the decision already and not with just waiting to see what happens. Like you can tell some people have already put their money on I mean obviously the big fanboys, but like other people who are like, yeah, this is totally getting passed or yeah, no, they're definitely gonna burn it here.
I
I just feel like they're jumping in too early. All right, I found the other three because they had that little developers to watch list, their
Yep,
final watch list, and
perfect. Then we can switch
another
over and
one.
get started.
Let me just pop those in this chat. Boop boop boop.
Perfect. Perfect.
Alrighty.
There we go. I'm going to
Perfecto.
switch us. Oh, okay, it doesn't want to work. So this my Stream Deck decided to not work. And then I will start the video because I'm doing it differently this time. So it doesn't change resolution on me. Yeah. Playing on my side, but it doesn't seem to be playing on that side. So that is whatever. Whatever. No audio on the thing. Fine. That's fine. Just listen to the soothing sounds of my voice. Here we are on the Port Beggars podcast.
The dulcet
Today we have
tones.
tons of topics. Absolutely bunch of them, but most of them are around surrounding the Activision Blizzard Microsoft merger and the trial that's been going on with the FTC right now.
I see you also got a Game of the Century on in the background
I
while we
will
talk
take
about
no
this.
I take no shit. I actually really love Balan Wonderworld. I'm with 4K on this one. Game is
I
absolutely
mean,
fantastic. It
I love the character designs for sure. The
it
game just felt a little too simple for me. I wish it had more depth,
has a lot of
gameplay
depth, but
wise.
it has a lot of depth, but the thing is that it's relegated to later in the game. So
Ah, that might be the case.
you can hate Balan Wonderworld for things, but not every game needs to be super complex.
Oh no, I totally agree. And I will say I haven't played enough of it to have gotten to those parts. I meant more so it felt like 90% of stuff was just attached to A. And I'm not saying it has to be crazy complex, but it did feel a little too like
Well, we
walk
found
forward and
out
push the button.
there was a lot of bad stuff that happened with Yuji Naka and him getting pulled off the project before just before it released.
And oh man, I wonder where he is now.
Yeah, and then taking the fall for someone else.
Yeah, all the little lads, the Timmy. Great designs though. It had a lot more character than I expected it to, and had it performed better, I
Balance
feel like these characters would have been a lot more popular.
Balance bout is probably the worst bit of the game, flat out.
Hmm.
That's like the that feels like we need to put something here, and there was an original idea, and the original idea got scrapped for Balance bout because it was easier to make.
True.
But we're not here to talk about the
The game of the
unfortunateness
decade.
is Square Enix's treatment of Yuji Naka and his fantastic IP Balan Wonderworld that people love to shit on because they think it's just the worst thing ever. I've played far worse and far more broken games than that.
Oh god, yeah. I think it's just an easy target for people, which
Oh
is a
yeah,
shame because most people who target it probably have not only not played it, but don't actually know how the game works or plays.
yep. they probably know nothing about it, and they're just jumping onto the bandwagon because they can. I gotta pause this.
The Isle of Tims. Oh, those cute
Okay.
little guys.
Okay. Before we get into ridiculous topics and commenting too much on Val and Wonderworld, what have you been playing this week?
Well, a lot of Dragon Ball Legends because the anniversary event's still going on. A lot of Diablo, but I've also played um, what's it called? A lot of Darkest Dungeon recently. I've just been going through it again because it's a great game. I know the second one's in early access on Steam. I'm hoping we see more of that. I miss having a roguelike that it sounds very masochistic that bullies me uh, with how hard it is. Because the one problem with roguelikes is once you beat it, you're usually too overpowered for any other runs to mean much. But with Darkest Dungeon, it's brutal. It'll stomp you down, and depending on the difficulty, it will destroy your runs very effectively. So I love the game. It's a really great atmosphere as someone who loves horror. It's just the aesthetic in general is fantastic. And I'm hoping we might see the second one on console soon, maybe when it comes out of early access on Steam. So I want to get used to the universe again and the characters. Granted, I have no idea if it's a sequel in terms of story or if it's a standalone. I don't know, but I'm excited, so I thought I'd pick it up again. And it's just as much fun as it was when I first played it. What about you? Anything good?
I picked up because I saw it on sale. This is one of those rare times. Man, one of those rare times where you see a game on sale on the store and the physical is actually cheaper.
Oh.
Crisis Trilogy. I've never actually beaten Crisis One, and going back to play it, I understand why. The first part of the game sucks. The armor system is not great, and yep.
Is it that it hasn't aged well or that it was never good?
It's that it was trying to be a tech demo first and the game second. Because if
Mm,
you remember, forever it was can it run Crisis
yes.
it was like a benchmarking tool. So
Yeah.
there's also some weird glitches in the Xbox version that I don't remember seeing in the PC version, but
Mm,
I don't know if it's just because it's a shoddy port or whatever. I remember liking Crisis 2 a lot better. Like it was my favorite of the bunch, but
mhm. What was I gonna say?
Hmm.
Were those were the originals and not the remasters, right?
Well, this is the original. Yeah, I played the original too, not remastered. So,
Okay. Because I was gonna say I haven't played enough of the remasters to know what the significant differences are or anything like
um,
that.
the character models in the first game look okay, but they're definitely not
Mm.
up to modern standards. Like for the time, like it was 2000 the game came out originally, right? Or 99?
It was definitely early 2000s. It was either
It
I
was
feel like
like
it might have been 2001,
yeah, like
maybe.
Crisis was like for the time they still look really good. In this
Oh God, yeah,
at high standard, no, not really.
yeah. I mean,
Um,
we're working on that J curve with everything.
yeah, Jacob. But other than that, more Loop 8. I'm still trying to get to an ending. Though I
I sure remember you were
accidentally
saying
messed
something yesterday.
yeah, I messed up.
Oh, how so?
I don't want to I don't want to tell
Oh,
people
is it like
because it's like
spoilery?
it is kind of spoiling, but
Gotcha.
more or less I ended up in a situation where a character just kept killing me over and over when I tried to talk to them. Like
Sounds aggressive.
I, I don't want to say who to spoil people, but like it was like I had it happen before, but the character actually hated me physically at that point. So
So she was killing you not out of hate or frustration?
yes, it's very yandere, but
Ah, that actually explains a lot.
like she's completely and utterly obsessed. But I want to finish her because I need to fit. There's a way to max her out, but I don't know how it works.
Mhm.
But I was actively trying to not get too close to another character, and I think I boned myself on that loop. So the loop ended up resetting because I didn't have the portal hadn't spawned to go fight the monster. Because that's kind of how the game works: is you go through your daily routines and stuff happens. But I didn't expect that to be a thing that could happen. So I
Interesting.
was I was confused. So
Well,
yeah,
it sounds like there's a lot more to the game than definitely than I realized, but that even you might have realized. It sounds like it's surprisingly deep. And I only say surprisingly because reviews didn't seem to go into how interesting the story was. They just said things like, "Oh, it could have been cool, but it wasn't," or "Oh, it's held
I
back by
definitely feel
this."
like they're not wrong that it could have been better, but the
Mm,
implying that the game wasn't already a solid game from the hop is a little bit ridiculous. So,
mm.
in one of my playthroughs, a character died, so I couldn't. One of the loops, I should say, is it didn't. Excuse me. It didn't. The character died, and I had no choice to do anything about it. So I was actively. So I didn't get to build up any. There's blessings. There's like permanent buffs for each character
That
that
like carry
persist. They
through.
persist
Oh, okay,
between loops,
very
and
cool.
I didn't get any for this character. So there was obviously downsides involved with um, being with their being dead. So I couldn't do anything. I don't want to say
Mm,
who because it's like it's weird. So I was actively
okay.
like pursuing that character to get better relationship with them. Ended up maxing them out, but I think because I neglected another character, I boned myself. But it's kind of
But
interesting to
you're able
see
to
how the
fix that
game.
on a different loop.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Because your
Okay.
relationships all start back at the base. So when I realized I was
Oh, okay.
boned, I just went around and tried to get as many blessings as possible for characters I didn't have. You kind of just
Well,
go
that's
and
smart.
check shrines and build up. When you build up relationships with people, you get a blessing,
Hmm.
and you can go to the like little shrine spots or little like call them power spots or whatever, and the squirrel will show up and deliver you a blessing for that character.
I like the way you worded that, like it's a totally normal thing. And then the squirrel shows up and he'll just give you a thing, but that's not the big part.
She's the divine idol. That's the
Oh, so it's a squirrel girl, not just a tiny squirrel.
same voice actress as Anya, if you played in Japanese,
Ooh.
who also voices. Oh, I almost spoiled something huge there. Okay, there's another character she voices, and I'm not gonna tell you who she is, which makes someone's comments on the game and the character even funnier. I'm not getting into it. Okay, I gotta stop because I'll actually spoil the story because it's so hard to talk about Loop 8 because most of the game is just the story.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with a lot of time travel things. No matter what you want to talk about, there's potential that it could spoil something that happens
Uh,
later
it's
because, it could happen in a different loop.
there is some aspects of time travel in it, but I wouldn't
Mm.
say that the the looping mechanic is it's thematic, but it's not like the plot. The plot isn't based entirely around the loop.
So it's something that helps move the plot forward, but it's not necessarily the plot itself.
It's Groundhog Day JRPG edition, which is a bad
Okay.
thing in my opinion. You have to relive the month of August until you get it right or get an ending.
Is
Getting
Bill Murray?
killed counts as an ending. It's game over. It doesn't loop
I
you.
mean, that's how it would work in real life.
No, I mean like just get if you get killed in combat, you loop.
Yeah,
If you
you
get
don't just
killed
reloop.
by this character, you don't loop. It just game overs you and puts you back to the screen.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, if there was no fear of death, you said there was fights with bosses and monsters, it wouldn't be very scary if you know you're just gonna come back. That'd be
Well,
some
you
consequence.
restart. That's what I mean. It's just if it's just weird that if you lose an encounter, you can loot. But if
Mhm.
someone murders you, then it doesn't count. Doesn't count. Game
Yeah.
over. Which sucks
Losing a
because I
battle is
didn't
bad.
realize that she was gonna. She killed me out of nowhere, and that was
To
like
just
I
happen to
haven't
stab
saved in
you.
like 2 days.
Oh, see,
Mm,
that's the worst.
feels bad,
Any type
bro.
of game where you have that
Yeah.
no autosave and you're like, no, I'll save
There,
often.
there is autosave, but I don't know exactly how it works because I don't think you can load it. It like saves at the beginning of every day,
Oh,
but
maybe it's just to make sure nothing gets corrupt, like file wise, or it can
okay.
bounce back.
Yeah, let's talk about the overblown AMD Starfield partnership on PC
Yes, please
with
take the lead on that one
FSR2.
because you were excited.
Yeah,
Well, I don't know if
excited.
excited's the right word. You know what I mean.
This is the biggest nothing burger I've ever seen. Um,
Delicious.
I know people love to be like, "Hey, NVIDIA and DLSS, deep learning super sampling, are some of like God's greatest gifts to gaming." It's not true. It really isn't. Um, like the thing is that there are games that are on PC, very popular games, don't have DLSS. I have to
Yeah.
make sure I'm not saying too many S's. I'm actively thinking about it. See, type it's what I think.
DLSS Gridman.
Yeah. So I'll bring up the obvious one. Uh, Resident Evil. None of the modern Resident Evil support DLSS.
Hmm.
They only do FSR, and that was FSR was patched in after the fact on a bunch of them when they did that big update. Um,
Yeah,
I'm sure there are
the one
like
that was fixing a bunch.
yeah, I'm sure there's hundreds of other ones. The thing is, people are acting like you can't use FSR2 on NVIDIA cards. You totally can. It's
Yeah,
maybe not as good as DLSS.
I
Yes.
feel like it's similar to the big ray tracing debacle that happened a few months ago, where people were like, "This is what every game needs. Everything has to have it. It looks so good." And then people immediately stopped caring because they knew it didn't matter. It was just a good argument point when there wasn't much going on. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know they're not the exact same kind of thing, but it
Well,
it just
you
feels like
the
go on.
thing with ray tracing in particular is that ray tracing is very expensive to run on the GPU. So you
Mhm.
need to come up with interesting ways, I guess,
Mhm.
to implement it.
Mhm.
And some games do it better than others. Some games do it
Very
with
true.
decent performance, and other games seem to just put it in all willy nilly and call it a day. Uh, when I say willy nilly, there are games like I think Little Nightmares 2 added it after the fact, and
Mhm.
well, it wasn't the greatest implementation of ray tracing. It was a form of ray tracing, and the thing is, people don't understand that there are different types of ray tracing. Even you
Mhm.
have your global illumination, which is just like all the skylights and whatever. There's um, what was it called? There's ambient occlusion for shadows and such.
Yeah.
Indirect lighting, reflections. Like it's not just one thing because ray tracing is not one thing; it's a bunch of things.
No, no, it's a magic switch. You know, when you flick it, the graphics get better. Everyone knows that.
Yeah, it can make stuff look better, but it can make stuff look worse too if you
Oh
don't
yeah,
use the right materials. Ray tracing
well, like
kind of
anything,
lives
of
and
course.
dies off of materials in games. Like if stop. Um, in Resident Evil, when they added ray tracing to Resident Evil 2, 3, 7 after the fact, this,
Mhm.
this four has it, doesn't it? The remake? has an option for it. I didn't use it, but I'm pretty sure
I
it does
think it
have ray
does.
tracing. But when they added it, my biggest complaint with the game before that was that when you got to anywhere with a metallic surface, it had this weird shadow pattern on it,
Mhm.
and the game didn't resolve these shadows very well on metallic surfaces. When they introduced the ray tracing, I don't know if it was just because they introduced the ray tracing or if they fixed something behind the scenes because they'd shipped 3, 4 other games by the time of going back in time, basically. It
Mhm.
fixed that issue. It made it look better. And again, that was my number one complaint was the way the shadows were. And that's not a problem.
I thought
So
your
ray
number one
tracing,
was the gamepad
well,
when
that
you
was
were.
4. I'm talking about
Oh,
Resident Evil
that's right.
2 here. Resident Evil
That's right.
2, it's just the resolution, the way the shadows resolved was always a problem.
Mm.
Um, so DLSS was designed to help the push ray tracing, and all these image
Mhm.
reconstruction things have been to push ray tracing because ray tracing is really expensive. Ray tracing is not a
Yeah.
new thing either. It's existed for a while. You can actually look at ray traced images from like the 80s, like computer generated ones. They take like a week to render at the time. So it's not like they didn't exist or the concept did not exist of tracing rays to get reflections
Yeah.
and
It
proper
just wasn't
lighting.
viable to use due to
No, real
the
time it was
time period.
impossible.
Yeah.
But it takes like a week to render a single picture. You can't. How can make that real time? So
Exactly. And
Nvidia
even
did
if you
not
could,
invent
it
ray
wouldn't work well.
tracing. I just want to make that perfectly clear. They did not invent ray tracing. So they also did not invent image reconstruction. No, it's not. They made a very good version of it. I will give you that. The DLSS is very good at what it does,
Hmm.
and I'm not going to try and downplay it because that'd be silly.
Yeah.
What I am going to tell you is Starfield not having DLSS is a nothing burger. It's not a problem. It'd be fine. Everything will work out in the end. The game will still
Who am
run
I supposed to
fine.
trust? My own imagination or the game devs that are saying what you're saying? I don't know who to trust.
Well, like they're gonna say the marketing crap, like, oh,
Oh, of course.
this will be the greatest thing. They're making the game look great. The game already looked great. We saw it. We saw it running. We saw people
Hmm.
playing it on console. And like I said, FSR2 they're going to be using on console anyway. So why is it an issue? I
Yep.
just don't.
Oh, well, it's an issue because we'll hear people blame the Series S if anything goes wrong.
Yeah, it's always the Series S, but there's been plenty of
Yeah.
games that have shipped with FSR2. Even on the Switch, games have switched with FSR2. So
Hmm.
it's it's a versatile, open system rather than the closed system that is DLSS. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick FSR2. Now,
There's
granted, they didn't have to pick one; they could have implemented both, but they decided to work with AMD for it. That's the thing. It's like Intel also has XESS. I can't remember what it stands for. Don't ask me. Like, and it's open source, and anything can use it. It's actually pretty impressive, and I kind of want to see more of that getting supported rather than DLSS, because again, you can run it not on an Nvidia card, and Nvidia's been a scummy scumbag. I think I've had enough. Stop. It's a nothing burger, guys. Starfield's gonna be fine without DLSS. Someone will probably mod it in if you really want it, and it will be not great.
Mm-hmm.
Just turn off ray tracing. You probably run the game fine.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of
I,
any Bethesda game that isn't like first party Bethesda used it, and the only one I can think of is ZeniMax Online. But even Elder Scrolls Online uses DLAA, which is the opposite of DLSS. Uh, deep learning anti-aliasing. It's like they. It's funny that they call the one super sampling, and then the other one's anti-aliasing.
Mhm.
But basically, what you're doing is you're taking the image and you're running it at a higher resolution, so you can downscale it to have less artifacts. It's very, very, very useful with older games, like when you're emulating, running games at 4K or
Yeah.
higher, even if your screen
And
isn't
you'll see that
4K.
a lot when you're on the computer. When it asks you about different graphical settings, you'll see the anti-aliasing. You'll see.
Well, it gets
Uh,
rid of a lot of the aliasing because you're just running at a higher resolution and you're downscaling it. You don't need to run anti-aliasing effects because of it.
yeah.
You're just raw horsepowering it basically. Because if you
Yeah.
run it so
Which.
big, like think about it. If you have a picture, like you're looking at a painting, right?
Mhm.
And the painting's like 100 feet wide, and you look at a picture of it perfectly same resolution on your phone, you're not going to
Mhm.
notice the brush strokes. You won't be able to see them.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's just it'll work for. That's what I mean. Like, I don't think anyone's going to care in the long
I don't
run.
think a
The
lot of
only
people will notice. They're making it stink now because there's nothing else to talk about it,
they don't
and the
even
media
know.
loves the clicks. Yeah.
But that's the
Well,
thing.
most
These
of them
guys don't.
don't.
They don't know anything about it. It's like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. And I'm like, you guys didn't complain about Resident Evil. Why are you complaining about Starfield?
Because this one's an exclusive, and people will argue with me about it.
Dumb, 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 dumb. Okay, let's get into the juicy FTC document stuff. Starting
Oh, where to
with,
start?
I'm starting with, I'm gonna actually go down a bit. So, back, these documents are from what, 2019, 2020?
Which one? The square ones?
All of these.
Most of them. I think they said some of it was from last year. Like I think the
Well, some of it's got to be older because some of these studios are gone. Someone else bought them.
yeah.
So,
No, there's
um,
definitely some older stuff in there. I just know the email with Jim Ryan that just came out with the documents. I think that was last year.
so, um, at one point, excuse me, now a lot of people are acting like this is Microsoft being absolutely crazy and trying to buy everything up. That's not what I see this as. What I see these as is this is like a shopping list kind of deal.
Exactly.
I would like to get all these things, but I can't get all these things. It's not plausible.
Yeah.
So you just make a list of everything you can get. This is the common thing in business. Like even if it's impossible or impossible and implausible, whatever you want to call it, these these studios were considered internally as studios and publishers were considered for acquisition. And for one reason or
Yeah.
another, it didn't happen.
And
So,
having a big shopping list doesn't mean you're trying to buy everything. You might
no.
only want one or two in total, but you have the whole list to
Well, you
decide
probably,
which one or two you want.
I have a feeling um, some of these, it's like publisher wise, you can only get away with buying so many before uh,
Yeah. Well, I
you're
guess it
going to
also
get.
depends on the size.
ABK is getting way more flack than I thought it would.
Mhm. I think a
So,
lot of it's because it's so political now. It's almost like at this point it seems so silly because they're talking about the actual video game part, but for the longest time it was less about the video games and more about the power that the FTC holds and the CMA. It was more so a grandstanding of them against big tech and not about the actual topic, I feel like, which is why I think it got so big.
Yeah, I think that's 90% of the reason why we're here
Yeah.
is that, this is political grandstanding, and that's not in the topics show, to be fair.
Yeah.
So, let's go. Well, Square was one of the publishers slash developers that they considered approaching. Here's the
Yep.
thing, though, before I go any deeper and people be like, "You're just fanboy," blah blah blah. No. Um, the thing is that there was another document attached to it that a lot of people are ignoring.
The Crystal
Um,
Dynamics one?
no. So this is Square Enix before they sold off. I want to say like a third of it to well their Western division to Embracer. So
Mhm.
now there was a going concerns and dyssynergies section of that document, and some of it is redacted,
Yeah.
but it's like they were going to continue to ship and operate Square Enix's currently announced and released games across all relevant platforms. This would substantially add to first-party revenue across PC, console, and mobile. But what people didn't notice is that we anticipate that this plan would have negative they put the games day one on Game Pass,
Yeah.
and
They knew it would bite the sales a bit, and they didn't know if Square would be cool with
it
that.
would it would be cannibalizing. It wasn't that it wouldn't be cool with it; is that they would cannibalize a portion of the game sale on their own platform and competing platforms.
Yeah.
That's the thing,
Which
right?
is pretty obvious for day ones. Like, I don't think it's as big as people used to make a big deal of, but it's big enough that it still affects you. It's just people treat it like Game Pass day one means not a single person's going to buy it, and that's just not the
Uh
case.
no, it's not the case. And the thing is that it would still eat some of the things. And that's
Definitely.
what when you're trying to be more appealing, having your product on your service for no money or less money is better than like this actually references Project Scarlet, which means this was either before they had announced the Series X slash
Hmm.
S, because Lockhart was Series S's code name, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. And Scarlet was the
Scarlet was
Series X.
Series X.
Yeah.
So the thing is that this has got to be before they announce the console, because I don't think they would use the code name after it's public.
Yeah. Especially when it's, for their own product. It'd be one
Yeah,
thing if it was like, oh, we have rumors, it might be this. It's their own product. They know.
yeah, they know. So again, um, honestly, this probably would have been better for everyone
Yeah.
if they, but I feel like oh, the Sega and the Sega's on the list too.
Hmm.
Do we have the documents on Sega specifically?
Which
Because
documents?
there's a document like the one I don't know if you had it. There's one like the Square Enix one where it's like what they thought. Because there was some interesting stuff from the Sega document why they
Oh,
were a little leery about wanting to purchase.
I hadn't seen that one. At least not the Sega version.
Yeah, something about because remember this is from 2019 when Sega still had Sammy. So
Yeah. And people forget Sega's doing decently good now. Unfortunately, a few years back, they were not doing as hot. I mean, even all the arcade shutting down was depressing, but just their gaming division in general, they didn't have a strong Sonic going out. They didn't have a new Yakuza. They had just ported, some of them to Xbox, but
this is
they
before. I
weren't
think
on
this
this
is
crazy
before
streak.
they'd ported them to Xbox. even
Yeah,
that document. The thing is, we don't have
'cause I
time
feel like they
to.
would have brought it up.
Yeah. So if you find that, you can put it in the chat, and I can go over it. But we're
Mhm.
gonna start with these consideration steps. Now, a
Which
lot of
one?
these, I'm going through
Oh, sorry, go.
the first one you sent.
All right, because I was gonna say I don't know which came first, if it was that one or the slightly more detailed
Yeah,
one
there's
with
no.
less
It
studios.
says Microsoft Confidential on it. There's no timestamps or whatever on it, and obviously some of these studios have worked with them before. So
Yes,
this
I
is
think that was actually in the
for
focus. They said they were like,
these were from Game
uh,
Pass data, or they had or studios they had Game Pass deals with.
okay. I knew there was
Okay.
something mentioning like if they had
Um.
a good relationship with them or something.
Yeah. I'll start with the publisher
Yeah.
since this is the short list. 505 Games. 505 Games is an interesting one to pick, in my opinion, as a
Mhm.
publisher,
It
since
might be just because they have such a big reign over like many different genres and
I don't think they own a lot of IP
IPs.
themselves. If
Yeah,
that's
I think they just work with a lot of IPs.
yeah.
Oh yeah,
Excuse
and
me.
it's right up here. Besides the Steam stats and all that, it says existing development partners currently working with Xbox slash the industry relationships.
Yeah.
So
Uh, Annapurna. I can never remember how you're supposed to pronounce it. Annapurna
I don't know if it's
Interactive. They do all
Annapurna
the.
or
They
Anna.
work with all the indie developers and do pretty good stuff.
Yeah,
Devolver
they had their own
Digital.
showcase too. Same with
Devolver
Devolver. They're
Digital.
crazy good.
Devolver. Div-
They're hilarious.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Devolver was never gonna get bought. They're not gonna sell for.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I didn't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Focus Home Interactive, possibly. I
Yeah, I
don't
wouldn't be crazy surprised, but I also don't see it at the current moment.
know, but thing. Media Indie Exchange. I'm not familiar with them. Do they go by a different name?
Maybe.
I'm
I'm
not.
not sure.
I'm sure they exist if they're on this list. But
I agree. I believe they exist.
I believe they exist. They're on this list. I just don't know what IP they're responsible for. Obviously, it's indie games. They're probably like a middleman.
Hmm.
They might have just put them on the list because they worked with them. Raw Fury. Raw Fury is an interesting choice too.
Yeah, I wonder if they had plans to revive certain IPs or had plans to work with
I
specific things when
I
they picked them.
honestly don't know what IPs some of these own. I could look them up, but I feel like a lot of the like 505 in particular, they don't own the IPs for some of these games.
Yeah, I think they just have
They have
studios that have
publishing
worked a lot with
rights
them.
for a lot of them.
Yeah.
Like 505 published Control and the PC version of Death Stranding. I had to remember the name. It's always weird. So,
Yeah.
so I don't know. Paradox Interactive. Yeah, yeah, Paradox is interesting. But again, I don't know how many IP they own. They're not like a IP conglomerate like other ones. It's just like a publishing
Well, I'm not.
entity.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if their focus was to grab all the IPs with this one, or if it was just to
This
get
might be just
a
a list.
bunch
It's like
of.
these are people we worked with. Let's see
Yeah,
what they own and
that's true. It might have never gone
acquisition.
past the stage of if we want them. It's just it's possible, and that's why they're there.
Yeah, Rough Fury. Rough Fury does a lot of indie stuff. So
Yeah. And I feel like that was the focus for a lot of the publishers they looked at. They probably thought we're only going to get so many publishers if we don't do some indie ones because you can't just get Take Two and,
I don't think.
Rockstar and
I honestly don't think buying indie publishers is crazy. Is like worth it in the long run because
I
you
think it
already have
depends.
ID at Xbox, right? You already have your own in-house one. Why do you need
Yeah, but
another?
what if they want people who are very competent at what they do to help assist new people at ID Xbox, or to
Look,
work
I
with
want
each other
Charagon as much as
to?
the next person. Okay. Look,
Yeah,
this is what I want. I want someone who isn't gonna bring their Puritan views into things and be like, you can't have sexy girls because I don't like them. I don't
yeah.
know what Char
That's
sounds
that's no
like,
fun
but
for
that's what.
everyone.
He's the
That's what
reason
it
we don't
sounds
have
like now,
Galgun.
among many others.
Yeah, despite Galgun being on the 360.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we're even if we don't get the um the reboot of uh oh my god, Shadows of the Damned. I'm going to
Yes.
be so mad. You have no idea.
Oh, it's such a good game. I think it was on EA Play
It
recently.
was until it got removed.
Yeah. Did they ever explain why?
Um, licensing. I'm assuming they didn't want to renew the pack because this project was coming, or this project is
Yeah,
coming because
that's
the
true. That's one of the
one or the
bright
other.
sides that
One caused
rarely
the
happens.
other. Who knows? Anyway,
Yeah.
Sega was the
It's
big one here, which we'll get into in a
yeah.
second. And Team
I feel
17.
like sometimes
Team
it's like one of those cases of when an electronic breaks, and it's like, do I pay 90% of the cost of a new one to repair it, or just get a new one? And sometimes with the licensing issues and stuff, it works out that we get a remaster or something, because it's like, if it's gonna cost the same to port it, I might as well remake it.
Yeah, I'm again. As long as we get it on Xbox, I'll be happy. A
Oh, same.
physical would also be nice because
And a
it's
replica skull,
expensive.
maybe?
Yeah, you just want the gun. You want the boner.
Maybe. I would take the, but even if it shot Nerf darts, or even if it didn't shoot, I'd still want the boner. We all need a boner.
That this, ladies and gentlemen, this is my bone. That's what you want. Okay, if you've never played Shadows of the Damned or never seen anyone play it, you're gonna be very confused. The first gun in the game is called the boner, and it shoots teeth, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, which is slightly different than what most do, I'll be honest.
Yeah, most of the other guns are really weird too, but yeah, he also
Yeah.
talks.
Yeah, he's less annoying than Navi. So, if you're on the
He's
fence
very
because you're
horny
like,
though.
he is. I mean, that game in general is very horny humor.
Yeah,
Um,
well,
it's so
it's a
much fun
pseudo
though.
game. The pseudo games are horny as fuck.
Well, exactly. Oh, well,
It's
the thing that's weird with him though is you can't tell if it's horny or if it's like deranged. So it comes off as like deranged and horny, which is a really weird combo sometimes. He makes great stuff.
he does, absolutely does.
Him and Swery, they both make the weird
Mhm.
good stuff.
Oh man, Suri is great.
Uh,
If you have never played Deadly Premonition, I believe it's on sale right now. It's a
yeah, I
messed
want the
up
sequel
game.
to. I need the sequel to come to more than the Switch because I don't want to play it at 8 FPS or whatever the hell it was stuck at.
That game got a lot
And
of
I wish.
flack for stuff when it came out.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm gonna
also
back
wish they
up a
had
bit.
D4.
Go back
Yeah.
up a bit. I'm gonna stop talking about suit because they're not on this list. It's
But they could be one day.
yeah, I don't see them on this list. So, but some of these we have seen make other things.
Yeah.
But Sega, man, Sega would be a
Sega.
get. But in the
Yeah.
documentation, it was kind of talking about the same way like Square Enix is keep all their games going to all platforms, but
Yeah, which
go
would also
back,
make it easier to get them in the first place.
but go back and get the games that missed Xbox and
Yes.
put them on the service.
Which would be huge because not only are you
Sakura
getting
Wars.
more editions, yeah, but you're getting all these games that Xbox fans have missed out on. And there's a lot of really good ones. It'd be like Yakuza all over again, where all of a
Hmm.
sudden there's a huge new fan base. That would happen for so many different series. And it'd be great because you could revive a lot of those IPs now that there's actually a boom for their games.
What's the thing? Like, people always be like, people Xbox gamers don't buy games. I have a whole thread on this on Twitter. Check it out.
Yeah, and the crazy people that
It,
showed up, like always, oh, you're not the norm. You're just,
you're not the
good for
norm.
you,
That's
but
why I want
like,
people to keep posting. Keep posting your stuff, guys. Digital,
uh-huh.
whatever. We want to see it. Make it happen.
Because there's a lot of people that do, and they just don't talk about it on Twitter. So apparently, it doesn't
Yep,
happen.
it doesn't happen. So, let's look at some of these studios quick. Are you familiar with 11-bit studios? Are they an indie dev?
Mm, I'm not sure. The name doesn't sound super familiar, but I'm no doubt played something of theirs at some point.
That's the thing. It doesn't ring a bell either. That's why I'm thinking it might be an indie developer studio. Because I'm looking at this list,
Hmm.
and there's a lot of studios on here that have not necessarily put a game on Game Pass, but
Hmm.
put games out. But there's also interesting ones here that have put games out, but not on Game Pass or Xbox in general. And I'll get to them in a
Hmm.
second. But I'm not familiar with 11-bit Studio. 4A games I'm very familiar with. They do Metro,
Yes.
so I understand why you'd be interested in them. Did they ever put Metro on Game Pass? I don't remember.
Uh, I don't. No, no, no. Wait. Was Exodus on Game Pass at one point?
I don't know.
I
I
don't think
have
the
a
first
physical.
two were, but
Maybe the first two,
they've
but
they always go on sale for like $5. I remember getting the little pack that came with both for like $8
yeah. Well,
physical
they're
wise.
they're old at this point. Like they're
Oh yeah,
10
they're
plus years
great
old.
games though,
They're
based
still
on the
good.
book series.
Though 3 departed from the book. So I don't know what they're
Yeah,
making next since they kind of made an ending. Um Asobo,
that one
well,
sounds more familiar.
yeah, I don't know. They made Flight Simulator.
Hmm.
Plague Tale, I believe, is theirs. This basically to me seems like this list is just like these guys did stuff with us before.
Yeah, I think it's the list
Oh,
of
I missed
these are more
A44,
likely.
which I'm also not familiar with.
That one sounds familiar, but I might be thinking of the movie company that's close to that.
Maybe they do have a video game publisher.
Perhaps. I don't know. I'd have to look into that.
A44 Games, Flintlock. They're doing Flintlock. I
Okay.
just looked them up. They're in New Zealand. Anyway, moving on. Avalanche. Avalanche. Not
The terrorist
as
group from Final Fantasy, yeah.
no Avalanche Studios, not to be mistaken with the other Avalanche Studios that made because I think this is the Avalanche that's making Contraband,
Hmm.
which makes sense for me. Axolot Games sounds indie or small. I maybe have played it. Scrap Mechanic. Scrap Mechanic seems to be their game. Craft. Okay. So yeah. Okay. Behavior, Blackbird, Blooper Team, Bohemia, Bonfire, Bonus XP, Boza. Don't know Boza. I'm just gonna keep going through them quick. Um,
Yeah.
Bungie, Capybara, CD Projekt, Red, Certain Affinity. Certain Affinity made sense. Coldwood Interactive, Colossal Order, Counterplay Games, Crytek, Jack 13, Digital Extremes, Don't Nod. I don't think Don't Nod would not be my first pick on someone to buy up, to be honest.
Hmm.
Not
Well, a
because
lot
they're
of them are
bad,
also
not
not
because
just the
Don't Nod's
IPs, but like
bad.
the engines. Hmm.
I don't, because the thing is, when you're thinking about buying someone, Don't Nod made a lot of the kind of same stuff. Like I think their new game is the one that that's uh jo- Jaunt or something. I don't remember what it's called, but that's their new game. Oh,
Mhm.
I lost my place. I was Don't Nod. Yeah, Don't Nod. So Don't Nod, I don't think has proven themselves. Maybe they get acquired, but
Yeah.
maybe not. Dovetail, Drinkbox, Dreamhaven, Ember Lab. This surprised me. You know what Ember
What?
Lab made, right?
No, I'm unfamiliar. Come here.
Kenna, Bridge of Spirits.
Oh, that's right. I always forget. They're the ones that we're still waiting on that temporary exclusive for.
Yeah, they were an animation studio
Yeah.
before turned game dev. Um, I don't think they've ever put a single thing on Xbox, so it was very interesting to me that they're here on this list.
That might be why they're here.
Well, the thing is that Sony, and I'm not going. I'm not. This is not like a jab at Sony here. This is just the facts. Is Sony probably saw Kenna early,
Mhm.
were either approached by Ember Lab or approached Ember Lab when they saw like an indie conference or something, and were offered uh money for. Did it launch in PS Plus? I don't remember.
I don't think it did, but I think it came to that stuff later.
Yeah, I bought it on Epic, which I regret because Epic's awful. Because I wanted to
They're
play
the
it before the end of
coolest.
that year, and yeah, it was the Epic
Did
Store
you think it was worth it?
exclusive. Um, the game's fine, but the Epic Store is not fine.
Yeah.
So it definitely has. It's an impressive game visually.
Hmm.
It is impressive from an animation standpoint, but it definitely lacks some things. I don't want to say gameplay wise because the gameplay was fine.
Hmm.
It was definitely trying to be something. It was definitely trying to be something like a cross between Pikmin and The Legend of Zelda. If I had to,
Which is an interesting combo.
well, you have all the rot and you kind of have magic and you learn abilities. And I I don't hate the game. I kind of hope more people can play it in the near
Mhm.
future. I'm pretty sure they're a small team, so
Yeah.
eventually we'll get it on Xbox. I hope.
Yeah. I mean, maybe it won't be when we're still alive, but maybe our grandkids will be able to play. We'll be the spirits they play with.
They made a fan. They made a fan film. Yeah, they made a Legend of Zelda fan film. Yep,
That's cute.
yep. It's some other
Didn't,
stuff.
didn't Nintendo destroy it?
No, it's still up. It's because it's a fan film. Face Punch Studios. I don't know who that is. Fat Shark.
Hmm.
Fat Shark does a lot of the does Vermintide's there, does it not?
Uh, what was the name one more time?
Fat Shark. I think they're the ones that did
Yes.
Dark Tide. Yeah.
They did
Um.
Vermintide 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they also did Darktide.
Yeah. Which is still not on Xbox. Weirdly.
Yeah,
Um.
it's one of those things where it's like supposedly it's not able to run yet on it, but it seems a little silly.
I think they're just a small team and they're trying their best. But
They're one of the bigger teams on this list. They have 120 employees.
yeah, but they're probably also working on. There's probably still a bunch of them that work on Vermintide and whatever. There might only be so many people that could work on the console one. Who knows? I don't
Yeah,
manage their studio.
I think the only one bigger than them is like striking distance for the developers to watch. The
Final
Callisto
Strike.
Protocol guys.
Finzi's interesting to see, actually.
Hmm.
They did Tunic.
Yeah,
Tunic
which
is a great game, but it
uh
was actually on Apple Arcade first.
really didn't it launch as a temporary exclusive for like a month and then everyone else got it?
I don't remember. I remember it was on Apple Arcade first.
Hmm.
Fireproof Studios. I'm not familiar with them.
That
Fluffy
game Spit Fire.
Fluffy Fairy Games. Also nothing. From Software. I'm not surprised From Software is here, but would not
Yeah.
expect Kotokawa to give it up.
Well, this is also before Elden Ring, so
Yeah,
they've
but they
obviously
have
got a lot of
they still
hits.
have a really strong I wouldn't say pull, but strong relationship with Kotokawa and From Software.
Oh yeah, I don't think it would have
Hmm.
happened even back then, but this was at least it doesn't seem as crazy and silly as it might now,
No, it
which is
still
why
doesn't seem
it's even
crazy. It still doesn't seem crazy or silly, in my opinion. I think it's totally fine. Frontier Developments, Funcom, Gearbox. Gearbox is gone now.
yes.
Gen Design. No idea who that is. Ghost Ship Games, Giant Squid, Giants Software, Harmonix. Isn't it Harmonix? Didn't Harmonix get bought up by 2K?
They might have. I know they were a part of Activision's stuff for a while, like all of the Guitar Heroes, DJ Hero, stuff like that. Neversoft and Harmonix were the ones that helmed those.
I'm gonna check that because I'm like 90% sure they parent was Viacom. Oh, Epic Games owns them now. Yeah, Epic Games owns
That's what
them
it
now.
was.
I knew someone bought them.
Yeah, it was
Hazelight.
recently too.
Yeah, 2021. Hazelight. Uh, it's on the tip of my tongue. I know what game it is. I'm gonna look it up. I'm gonna feel dumb. Oh, it's Starbreeze. It takes two. It's it's Joseph Ferris's studio.
Mhm.
Art Machine, Hello Games. I don't know about Hello Games. Hidden
You
Path.
don't you don't know who they are, or you don't
No,
know
I
if
know
you've
Hello
played them.
Games is. I don't know if I would want them, but
Gotcha.
uh, yeah, because if you look at this list, Hidden Path, Hinterland, High Res, Housemarque's here. They're gone to Sony now, but
Yeah.
Resogun is a great game. IO Interactive, Iron Gate, Jackbox, JP Games, all capped. I don't know who these are.
I have no memory of these people.
I mean, they're in Japan. They just have such a
It's okay.
Pegasus. I don't know anything about these guys. They make like they do animation and AI.
Maybe there's some new blood that they were trying to get for something else.
No, I don't want to email. No, I'm not emailing about it. I'm not emailing people. Okay. I don't know what these guys make. So whatever. Larian's here. Level 5. Everyone's been asking about level 5. It looks like they were in the crosshairs at one point. Lizard Cube, Manticore Games, Midwinter, Mercury Steam. Oh, yeah, Mercury Steam would have been sick grab, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They did the. Have they done anything on Xbox?
I don't think so, actually.
they did the remake of Uppers. They did the remake of Samus Returns and the new and other Dread, Metroid Dread. That was them.
Yes. Sorry for the background noise. My dog's
Um,
freaking out because of the storm, and I'm trying to get her to go.
Scraplands. They worked on Clive Barker's Jericho. They worked with Konami on both the a bunch of games actually. Scrapland Remastered, Project Iron. Oh, oh, Project Iron apparently. Space Lords. That's a free to play game. Okay, well, there we go. They have released stuff on Xbox. Moon Studio, after the way the founder of them acted,
Apologies.
yeah, I don't think that was gonna happen. Bundfish,
Yeah.
Night School Studios. I thought this was Night Dive at first, but it's Night School. It's very interesting to look at this list, actually.
But they have different ideas too. Like if you look at the upper list of developers to watch, they list the reasons why. Like sometimes it's people and ideas, sometimes it's UGC and
Oh,
live ops.
Oxenfree. Okay, all right, all right. I know Night School now. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes it's
wait, didn't they get bought
engines.
by Netflix?
Yes.
Yep,
I
I
knew they were
just looked
doing
it up. I
something.
just saw it. Netflix got them.
Yeah. They got them and then they're releasing the sequel on everything but Xbox. Super cool.
Yeah, really,
Really
really
wanted
great
Oxenfree too.
partnership. Really nice to
Yeah.
treat the company that literally made your business model work. Netflix.
Love to see it.
Yeah. If you didn't know, Microsoft helped get Netflix to become a streaming service from the hop.
Yeah.
So it
Back when
is.
they were still mailing you your DVDs.
Yep. That service only ended a couple years ago. I thought
What?
the 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 mail rental service.
Yeah. It didn't last very long compared to
No, it lasted a long time. Like it was. I think it was like last year, or the year before.
oh no,
It,
I mean like when it was only the mail.
yeah,
That part didn't last long. People definitely still use it though after they've gone digital.
yeah. Anyway, no breaks games, Oxide, Paladin, Pearl Abyss, People Can Fly. I don't think Pearl Abyss would be easy to get. People Can Fly, I actually think is going to be one of the next ones, or they're just going to keep funding projects because they just funded a big project with them.
Yeah.
Play Dead, Playful Studios, Platonic. Platonic would have been hilarious. Oh hi. Actually, I think okay. Don't don't get mad at me for this one, but besides the IP that Platonic would own that were owned by Nintendo, Microsoft owns all the other ones that these guys want, right?
For the most part.
I mean,
Well,
like
as
they
far as I
can't.
know, their wants could have changed.
I mean, Banjo Kazooie. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Platonic is interesting. Larry? I have no idea who this is. How do you even pronounce that?
What was it?
It's like pro. I'm trying to read it. It's kind of a little bit on the fuzzy side. Pro,
Let me find where you were.
pro.
Uh,
It's in alphabetical order.
Prolariatet? Well,
He made
yeah.
himself look like a fool
Prolariat?
first.
Yeah, I believe it's Prolariat. Depends on how many T's are silent.
Uh, uh, I didn't get a game out of it. I got a definition. All right, moving on. I don't know what they make. Maybe they're up and comers making something we don't know about yet. Rebellion, Red Hill, Reflector, Relic. Relic just put stuff on Game Pass, so not crazy. Remedy, Roblox. Could you imagine?
Actually,
Could you
isn't
imagine?
Roblox still
Just
not on PlayStation yet?
sorry.
I said, now that you say that, though, isn't Roblox still not on PlayStation? I know it's on computer and Xbox. I think it's on Switch.
I'm going to a different web browser for this because I don't want to get Roblox crap forevermore.
Let me go on a hidden incognito
No,
site.
I have a different web browser for looking up stuff that I don't want to get tracked on
That's fair.
this
Yeah, you don't want to be
because
on
that's more
watch
fun.
lists. Yeah, I know it's
Honest.
on Xbox and PC. I think it's on Switch.
It
I'm pretty
says
sure
it's
it's on
on
mobile.
it. Okay, Roblox is on. Uh, it says the App Store, the Apple App Store, Google Play, the Amazon App Store, Xbox One, and the Microsoft Store.
Oh, so it's not on Nintendo or phone. Well, no, it's on some phones. Because you said
It's on
Google. Well, did you say
phones,
Google
so like
Play or?
everything phone, but
Okay,
not Switch or PlayStation. This is from their site,
interesting.
so I'm not going to.
Yeah, I wonder
Okay.
what the reasoning is. But all I know is sometimes I see PlayStation dudes pop up like, "When are we getting Roblox?" And the first thing I can think of is, "Oh, it's not on there." So yeah, I don't know what the reason is for that one.
Okay, Roblox SCS software, Second Dinner, Shark Mob, Splash Damage, Starbreeze. Starbreeze does Payday,
Yep, and they got the
Dardock,
payday free day one Game Pass already.
yeah, Striking Distance. Isn't
Yeah,
Striking
that's
Distance
the
the
Callisto guys.
yeah, I was gonna say. Okay.
It's currently the biggest one on their list. They got 150 employees. Oh,
Mm,
Prolariat's right near me actually.
Stoic Studio, Studio
They're both staying.
MDR, Supergiant
Oh, I remember what
Games.
Prolariat did. You remember Spellbreak? The battle royale with like wizards?
Vaguely. I don't think I actually played it.
That's them. I don't know if they're still around. I remember the game shut down.
Uh, Supermassive. System Arrow Softworks. Telltale. Hilarious Media? Institute Cherry. Techland. Tequila Works. That Game Company. Sorry, I didn't say it right. That Game Company? Because it's all one word. The Behemoth. Really? The Behemoth?
Yeah,
Weird.
I was happy to see that. Although when you think about it, they've put everything they have on Xbox.
Yeah. The
Castle
Molasses
Crashers,
Flood.
Alien Hominid.
Thunderful Lotus Games. Thunderbluff. Tiny Build. Toka Boka. Typhoon and Us Two.
Oh, quick funny thing about Prolariat. Um, they were founded by Seth Civic and or Civic, former Zynga industry veterans in 2012, but the company was acquired by Blizzard in 2022. Um,
It's
yeah,
like my part
the irony is they're gonna get them yet.
We got them
Yeah,
too. They're a bonus. Okay.
exactly. Yeah, so that's why I haven't heard of them recently. But they were
Okay.
founded 10 years ago in my home state.
Okay. So that was a long list of companies, and yeah. So these are the
Uh,
key to watch. Did you find the Sega documents?
I haven't found that yet. I keep finding other random stuff when I'm trying to look for it because there's just so much crap to go through.
Yeah, I saw it
Um,
because there was something about buying Sega and them not wanting to do it are being worried about some of their subsidiaries, which would be considered a not profitable.
I, yeah, if you look at the final watch list, it shows a lot of the reasons they might want some of these companies.
Yeah,
Like
I'm
they
looking at
have,
that right now. Uh,
yeah, engagement, social
A44.
interaction.
Yeah, A44 was people and ideas.
Oh yeah, that one. Sorry, the next one goes into more detail. That's
Yeah, I'm
what I
looking
was
at
looking
people
at.
developers to watch. I'm just looking at this quick. Bonfire Studio seems to be one they were looking at. Again, people and ideas. Key titles: Project Torch. Is that actual game or is that the code name? Maybe the code name.
Yeah,
Counterplay
I
games.
believe
Oh,
so.
Godfall.
And
Throne
Throne Master.
Master. I've never heard of
Dreamhaven.
Throne
Key
Master.
titles to be decided. They'll
It
make
might
stuff
be. It
eventually.
might be. It might be that they're just like someone's seen something, but they haven't. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. There might be headhunting some of these people. Ember Labs,
Yeah,
new people, new audience. Yeah, I kind of agree with that.
yeah,
Face Punch Shoes. Okay, they did Rust,
yeah.
Live
And
Ops,
what do you think? Yeah,
UGC.
what do you
What
think
is
UGC
UGC?
is? Um,
I'm gonna look it up.
Updating game content, maybe? I only say that because I'm trying to think, you know, what would the word be for people that keep adding content to one game over time?
User generated content.
Ah, I was close. That makes sense. Yeah,
Okay.
they need to have more user-generated content outside of Skyrim that people can access on console and PC.
Steady Flow. Fat Shark. Steady Flow. Interesting core
Yeah, do
tendencies.
they mean a steady flow of content or
Uh, Ghost Ship Games. Deep Rock
I'd be down with
Galactica.
them, the Deep Rock Galactic guys.
People and ideas. New audiences. Interesting. Haze Light. New
The
audiences.
A Way Out and the It Takes Two dudes. They're great.
Oh,
I
Joseph
do you
Ferris is
remember
crazy. I love him.
what was it?
Joseph Ferris is crazy, and I love him.
Oh yeah, that's what I was saying. I was like, do you remember when he was at the Game Awards with Jeff? He's like,
Oh, I remember.
"Fuck you."
I remember exactly. It's even crazier, and you remember that both of his games,
Snubbed.
actually, all three of them, I think, were published by EA. That was the
Yeah,
same year because I was actually talking about this history lesson with someone else the other day. Um, that was the same year that everyone was mad at EA for what they did to Battlefront 2. So
yeah.
that was the
How quick we
meme.
forget.
I don't forget. I never forget.
Oh, I don't. But how many people, if you bring up EA now, bring that up? It's depressing.
Nobody. Anyway,
They
where are we?
forgot.
Haze Light, Art Machine, Solar Ash, Hyperlight Drifter. Okay, people and ideas. These make sense. Hello Games, No Man's
Yeah,
Sky, and Joe Danger. People and ideas. Live
Joe Danger was
Ops,
great.
Steady
I
Flow.
think steady flow is supposed to mean content over time, like a steady flow of updates to their game. Because I know Vermintide 1 and 2 had that, and No Man's Sky has been getting content updates since release. Um,
Um,
so I think what they mean is like people who know how to make a live service game survive, and not just make a live service game, quote unquote.
yeah, it's Art Machine, Hello Games. That's fine. Moon Studio, People and Ideas, and Tech and Infrastructure. Uh, Ori does have Forsaken. Wait, Forsaken was. Hold on. Am I thinking of the right Forsaken?
Maybe.
Oh, it was the, yes, it is the right one I was thinking of. That was them?
Sure.
It's weird that it's listed here with Ori, but
Let's see. Games developed. Ironically, it says the only games they've developed are Ori and the Blind Forest, Ori and the Will of the Wisps, and an untitled action role-playing game.
well, Forsaken
And ironic,
was a first person, it was by Probe. So are these ex-probe guys? I don't know. I have a feeling that with the way he was talking to press, though, that they might not want him, or he might not
Yeah,
want to
it is
work with
funny
them
though because
again.
both Ori and the Blind Forest and Ori and the Will of the Wisps were published by Microsoft, although one was technically Microsoft Studios and then later it was just Xbox Game Studios.
No, they changed
But
their
apparently,
branding at one point. So
yeah, but they've also got some allegations of workplace abuse recently, so
yeah,
that's not
and
great.
also the way the guy was talking about Xbox in general.
Yeah.
So I don't know how that might work. Moonfish, I don't know about Moonfish, Musco on the cart. They're a pretty small team actually, 39 people and ideas.
Yeah.
I guess.
Like on one hand I get it because it's like they're a Russian team, so they're gonna bring different ideas to the table than just
Plus
having a bunch of American or a bunch of Japanese games. Uh
see, I
yeah,
understand
Polaria is not there
why
anymore.
you'd want to headhunt someone like striking distance
Yeah.
to get, because you could do a lot of cool things if you gave these guys like free range of the back Xbox IP. Alpha Team
Team
Cherry's like,
Cherry's
it's
similar.
five
Yeah.
guys. It's
Five,
five
five dudes.
guys.
But that would also be big because I feel like Hollow Knight,
I don't
not
think.
not not that it needs to be bigger or anything, but they clearly need more money for what's happening with Silk Song. There's no reason that it's taken this long if it's not they need money to hire more guys or
Or
they
maybe they
need
just can't
money
get guys
to
that they need. I don't know.
in that
Like,
too. They could, Microsoft would be able to give them some of those guys.
I
I
don't.
just
I don't. I don't. The thing is, I
I don't know.
understand why indie devs would want to stay like independent and be a small
Yeah.
team. Like, I get it, but it comes with downsides. So
Yeah. And at the same time, Five Guys is a very small team to make a big game like that. And I realize when I say big, I don't mean like, physically big, or in this case, digitally big. I mean like you're having to top Hollow Knight, and that was a phenomenon. It's not going to be easy.
no. Audience expansion.
Yeah, and this is where it goes into the
Wonderful.
assets, and I thought this was actually really cool because it explains why they would want them and
Expertise in
what they
cross-gen
would work on.
casual mobile games. Top-notch
Oh,
indie developer, including Hades. I didn't like Hades that much, guys. I'm sorry.
I loved Hades. Although I can see why some people wouldn't. It was just a very good roguelike. But if you're not into roguelikes, and if you're not into
That's not why I
asymmetrical,
didn't like it.
yeah, I just mean like in general, I've heard a lot of complaints about that part, and I get it. The story was fun, but it wasn't like an
It didn't
epic
have a really
tale and a
good way
very
of.
accessible.
I don't think it had a good way of telling its story. That was my biggest issue with it, especially
Yeah, because
coming
you
off
keep
one of my
dying.
favorite games of the gen,
What was
Transistor.
that? Oh
Transistor was
yeah,
amazing. The fact that it's still not on Xbox is a goddamn crime, but I feel like it gets overshadowed by Hades. It's like everyone's like, Bastion's so good. I'm like, I don't like Bastion either.
yeah. Well, it's because Hades has a lot of sexy people that Twitter and Tumblr went crazy for.
Yeah, that's
So
exactly why. Thank you. You said it. Transistor was like
Transistor
this
is really
heart,
cool.
so cool.
Uh,
Yeah,
the whole
even though I
setting in
fell through
general
the
is
world
dope.
once. Niantic.
It happens.
Did Niantic get bought, or are they still like?
I don't remember. They've been working on a new game. Aren't they working on a Monster Hunter related thing? Because they were working on Pokemon for so long, and I think they're
Yeah,
still
but I
technically.
don't really care about a Monster Hunter mobile game.
What if it's awesome? What if it creates real monsters in the world that we have to hunt and fight in
Can
augmented
you stop
reality?
talking about dystopia anime and vaguely disguising it as games? Because that's how
Oh man.
dystopia anime starts every time,
Yeah,
guys.
exactly. Oh, maybe I'll get reincarnated with my smartphone. No, that's too dumb. Who would like a story like that? Oh, wait.
Yeah, okay.
They could have made a better title at least. Oh. Uh, Playrix and Zenga. That makes sense.
Sega's gone.
Strong franchise. Well, yeah, I know.
Sega was like
But it makes
insane
sense.
money. It was actually like literally, I think it was hours, like hours after the ABK deal was like, no, it's like, yeah, the Zynga deal was like the biggest deal in gaming for like 5 minutes. It
Yeah,
felt
and
like,
they
and
got the
then it's
option.
like we're buying Activision Blizzard. Everyone's like, wait, what?
I'm
One
trying to
of
remember who
these
even bought Zynga at the time. Was it
Take Two.
that's what it was. I'll take three. I'll one up you. And you can
Take
tell this is older because Bungie's still on this one still too.
Yeah, but
Uh, and this
buying
one's not
Bungie
only for
again
the
is like a weird. I understand why, but obviously they decided against it.
now if you'll notice there's some redacted stuff in both the gaps. It says audience expansion, and then you can see a white or a darker white square outline. So there's definitely some stuff that was redacted that they were trying to fill in gap wise. And you can see on the
Yeah.
bottom for audience expansion, it's cutting into it a bit. So there is one more thing. I don't know if they're saying that's what those specific ones across from them were, or if it was just in general. But yeah, there was more
Oh,
reasons
this
than
page.
what they were trying to hit.
We don't have the whole book, do we? All the pages, do we?
Yeah,
Because the
yeah,
first one I went over with was 9.
yeah.
The
And
one
then
we
we
were
got
looking at was
49
20,
and 20,
49, 20, and the last one you put up is 11.
like 11 or something.
But
Yeah,
it's only part of the page. So,
yeah. There's definitely a lot of redacted stuff and hidden stuff. Everything that we saw is just scratching the surface.
but I want to talk about this for a second because this last page here for a second because these are because Crytek wasn't on any other of the lists. I didn't know I just showed
Yeah,
us playing Crisis, but Crytek makes a lot of sense
yeah.
for a few reasons.
It makes you wonder though, because this is
Technology,
page 11. Do you think it went forwards or backwards in like recent stuff?
it might have gone backwards or it might have gone to a different part of the page. Because the thing is like
Okay.
it's such a small section compared to the other one. Like this could be
Yeah,
the bottom of the page. I don't know how big these pages are. Like is this like supposed to be like a little booklet? Is it supposed to be like regular size paper? Because this is regular size paper. This is like a third of a page each of
yeah.
these.
And I only
Because
bring
the
that up because I'm trying to guess what the time frame could have been for some of these to see if they're possibly still interested or if they even exist at this point.
I feel like they're possibly still interested in some of them. Crytek, I would not be surprised they're still interested in. And the
Yeah,
reason
the
I
engine
say that,
alone.
yes, the engine alone is a huge deal.
Yeah,
But again, I don't know if I'm still surprised we haven't seen them make IdTech licensable. You know,
maybe they're waiting until they have some more things finalized, like possibly a move to Unreal 5 that they're, you know, confident in. Just something that feels new gen that they don't have to worry about others one-upping them on their own stuff. You know what I mean?
if you want an engine that performs like like no other, it's definitely IdTech. IdTech is absolutely astonishing
Yeah,
how
they're
it can run
masters
on
of their
things.
craft.
Yeah. It is interesting. It's just interesting to see Crytek here because I think they would definitely be they would definitely benefit from having Microsoft's IP and because Crytek had a really cool CryEngine had a really cool way to do ray tracing that wasn't as performance dependent.
Yeah. And the quick thing to point out that's important, this is in the developers self-published section. They
Yeah.
kept developers, self-published developers, and publishers all separate. So you could
Uh,
tell they're focusing on specific things when they were looking.
yeah. Well, Crytek used to be really closely like EA used to publish all their stuff, but the newest
Yeah.
one does not have an EA logo on it anywhere.
Crazy.
Saber Interactive apparently worked on this too,
Yeah.
which I'm not surprised about. Yeah, Saber Interactive I think did the port of one.
Yeah. They tend to do a lot of that stuff now.
That's mostly what Saber does, but yeah,
Yeah.
Crytek is it's kind of astonishing that they're still around. I don't know if they're just trying to survive off licensing fees or something, but I don't know many games that ship with CryEngine.
Yeah.
It is licensable still, I'm pretty sure. Is it not?
That I'm less sure of.
CryEngine complete suite of achieve your vision with CryEngine. Yep. Update. CryEngine launcher has been updated to improve. Find out what you need to know. Yeah.
Nice.
The Noir ray tracing bin. Something's coming soon. So yes, they still. It is still something you can license and use. Well,
Very cool.
I can see that being a big deal.
Yeah. It almost feels like it'd be like ABK in the way that a lot of people might not be focusing on why they want it. In the same way that just with ABK, everyone's like, "Oh, it's all about
I
COD," and
mean,
they're like,
Crytek gave up
"No."
Crisis. Not Crisis. Far Cry. If you didn't
Yeah.
know that Far Cry was one of Crytek's
That's
IP
why one
at
and
one
two
point,
are so different.
Far
And I know
Cry.
you're such a big fan.
Far Cry 2 was awful. I think that was the
It was
first one
much
that
better at the
Ubisoft
time.
did. No,
Yeah.
no, it wasn't.
No.
I will not accept that crap from you. It is not. It was not better at the time. It was shit then. It's shit now.
Maybe.
Malaria. You're
You
welcome.
have malaria?
That's literally the mechanic in Far Cry 2. You have malaria. Better get your trade your rough diamonds so you can have malaria medicine so you don't die.
Realism.
Got malaria. You're in Africa. Now you have malaria and you're in Africa. And you need to kill this warlord. But you've got malaria, so you need to do deals so you can get malaria medicine so you don't die from malaria.
Yeah, you need to be able to die from bullet wounds 5 minutes from now.
No, it's got that ridiculous mechanic where you like pull the bullets out. But it's
Yeah.
only got a
I
few
mean,
canned animations. So like
yeah,
there's like the broken
aesthetically it
finger,
looks
you fix the
cool.
finger, or you pull the bullet
Yeah.
out of your hand and then you wrap your hand up, or you pull the bullet, but it's always the same spot.
Yeah, and it's always funny because like even in free, you could hurt yourself by like getting a car to run over your foot, and you'd still like skin a bullet out of your arm, and it's like, huh, is that where the car hit me? Why did it shoot me? I remember you could like break your arm into place as if it was like way out of it, and it's funny because like you wouldn't get that because you were mauled by a tiger. You'd do something stupid like shooting yourself in the foot, and then you'd snap your entire arm back into place. And it was like, ah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I threw my arm
I think
out.
they got rid of that in the newer ones.
Yeah, it had charm though. It was definitely
Yeah,
dumb,
Far
but
Cry
it
1
had
is a
charm.
very different animal. I think Far Cry 2 is
Yeah,
because Far Cry is definitely a product of its time, and definitely was trying to be because like open world games did not exist at the time. Yeah, so I guess they gave up the because it was like a big jungle. You go through the jungle, like it was a huge deal. And then all the Far Cry games were just like everything afterwards. I think Far Cry 2 was not Crytek. No, it was not. No,
yeah.
only the
It doesn't
first one was
surprise me,
Crytek. All the
which
other
is one of the
ones.
reasons it was really good.
Yep. I will also argue that Far Cry 1 is not a very good game. Just like Crysis 1 is not a very good game. It's got good ideas, but I know some people think that Crysis 2 is worse, but I don't need to have a huge map. Like I can't won't let me mark targets. I don't know if that's a thing you're supposed to be able to do. They say you can, but I can't mark
Mhm.
targets with the visor. So yeah, it's just. But do you have anything else to add on these Microsoft documents? I'm gonna check Twitter quick and see if there's any crazy new information because the trial is happening like right now.
Yeah, I think we missed Bobby taking a stand.
Oh, Bobby was on the stand for a while.
I hadn't seen it. I haven't actually been paying attention to today's. I was gonna do a recap later,
I'm just
just because
checking quick.
following along yesterday was chaotic. All I can add to this is really these were in 2019-ish. We're not sure when. Um, how much of this do you think has changed? Who do you think has been added? We know obviously some have been off because they're not available anymore or don't exist.
I think
Um,
CC2 got added for sure.
yeah, man, he's been having some great posts lately too.
Yep.
I
Actually,
love
the
his little
localizer
PFE.
follows me on Twitter now. The head of their
Oh, me
of
too.
CC2 localization. Yeah, it's like
He he
okay.
uh he followed me when I was making a joke too with Nux. He was like, "Hey, if you guys need any translators or community managers and stuff, I know a really good guy." And I know he was talking about himself, so I just came in like, "Oh man, you're really hyping me up. I don't know if I can live up to those expectations." And he liked it, and he was just joking around. So I just thought that was funny and cute. I was like, "Oh, I'm glad they have fun. They seem really passionate. It doesn't seem like they're uh they're frustrated by how the industry can unfortunately be sometimes. They seem pretty creative and excited still, with
Yep.
sort of that innocence, which I appreciate.
Okay, let's check back in the thread here. Okay, Bobby was on the stand for a while ago.
Bohemia, did you see what Bohemia Interactive said a few hours ago?
Yes,
Hello,
I did.
gamers.
For no apparent
We'd just
reason.
like to mention, for no apparent reason, that Bohemia Interactive likes Game Pass quite a lot, as both a dev and a publisher. And then they go on to say why, just, from dev wise. But yeah, the first comment, hold up. Jim Ryan said this under oath. I talked to all the publishers, and they unanimously agreed. Based on this tweet, it was not unanimous, and since he talked to all publishers, he clearly talked to you. Perjury. It's so dumb. But yes, it what people say in court doesn't matter if they're under oath. Sometimes they say stupid things. And it's nice that some publishers are actually coming to the front saying, like, hey, they don't actually speak for all of us. We're independent. Different thoughts.
Yeah, I don't know who he's trying to talk about. It seems like it's just been more of the same, and the judge is still not happy.
Ooh, I
The
just saw
judge,
how
other
much.
than
Yeah, sorry, I was just catching up on some of it. Did you see the thing Tom Warren said with how much Forbidden West cost? The court in the
uh,
FTC has removed all the exhibits and docs. This comes after Sony supplied a doc that was redacted with a pen and scanner. A pen in the scanner caught all the secrets, like Horizon Forbidden West, apparently costing 212 million to make.
you
Oops.
had 12 million.
So apparently there's a bunch of stuff that a pretend Sony oops. Yeah, stuff that came out from the scanner.
That's like the thing is that I did hear about earlier because John Muncher was talking about it on Twitter, and
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm not surprised that the game cost so much to make. Um, did it make all that money back they were expecting to make back? Possibly. The thing is the human cost is really the biggest um expense with all of these.
Yeah.
Um, like
Although
you
now
have
that
to
I
pay the
think about it,
salary for these people for X amount of years, right? Like
oh yeah, yeah, you don't get to.
that's basically
Yeah.
that's basically what the budget is. It's like we need this many
No,
people,
man.
right?
you only pay them when the game comes out, and if it's good. If it doesn't get a 90 on Metacritic, you don't have to pay them. Everyone knows that.
Oh, 11-bit Studios was Frostpunk. Okay.
Yeah.
Like I understand why Jim Ryan and Sony is so against the Game Pass model because it is destructively the value is destructive, and I totally understand that. But I love how these people like, well, you don't buy games because you have Game Pass. It's not true at all.
Yeah.
If anything,
Don't
I
forget
buy
the
more games because I have Game Pass.
exactly because I'm saving money on other games.
Yeah, well, I
Don't
didn't have
forget.
to buy Redfall. Didn't have to buy.
Yeah.
I don't have to buy Starfield, but I did.
Don't forget that the Japan hates Xbox welfare passer guy is another one of those people that just not
Don't
only
give the guy
mocks
credit.
you.
Don't give the
Oh,
guy
I'm not.
credit.
I'm saying not only does he mock people for doing it, his entire gimmick is making fun of people and claiming they're poor, as if gaming is not a fun hobby you can do if you have the money, but a right that everyone has, and you're poor to choose that you want to save money on this thing and not just enjoy the hobby when you can
I
and
mean,
pay what you want.
again, we were talking about it earlier, and I said it. Like when a game's $5, I'll buy it. If a game costs less, or if a game magically shows up at my house, which has happened,
No,
it has
you have
happened
to
more than
pay
once.
for it.
It has happened more than once.
Give them money. You clearly don't support the industry. You
Except
poor
this
man.
one is on Game Pass, so I had played it. I played it on Game Pass.
Mhm.
Amazon just put this in one of the packages. I don't remember buying it.
This is so
I
dumb.
honestly do not remember buying Rage 2. It's still sealed because I don't remember. Gears 5's here. Like for sealed stuff, I've got all sorts of cool stuff. The Metal Gear Solid HD collection.
Or at least the old one, because there's going to be a new one, and I'm
Yeah,
sure they're going to name it the same thing.
I'll buy the new one. The one that was on the store didn't have Peace Walker though. I
Yeah, I
noticed.
don't know if they removed it because of licensing stuff or what happened with that.
Well, I guess because they were doing the new bundle, so you're not able to
Yeah,
buy the old one
like we
anymore.
talked about earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Persona 4 Arena. Yep, it's Peggy version too. The Darkness 2. This was $5 also. $5 games, man. I'm telling you. This relic. It's not in the most perfect of shape. Like there's a little, I don't know if you can see it. There's a little bit of like the plastic wrap is degraded slightly over the
Mhm.
binding here, or the thing is, but it is still sealed for all intents and purposes. And then this
Yeah.
copy of Final Fantasy 15 that will stay sealed until Square puts Final Fantasy 7 remake and Final Fantasy 16 on Xbox.
Yeah. Every
I will
time
only
they
accept
don't put
both.
something, yeah, every time they don't put something and then they put something somewhere else, it's like, oh, that's a new thing I have to add to the requirements.
Yeah, I'm not gonna add new things. I'm gonna keep it the way it is, so people don't call me a liar, moving goalposts. I don't want to. I don't want to be a goalpost moving person. I will
But
stream the whole thing when it happens, but I think my time is
but Sony
safe.
fans do it all the time.
Well,
It must mean
I
it's
don't need to
okay.
stoop to their level. It's
Fair.
okay.
I was just saying, since they do it, it must be the right thing to do.
It must be the right
They
thing
can
to
do no
do.
wrong.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll believe that. Believe nothing. Just gonna fix the shelf here. You can keep talking. Anything you want to talk about involving
Well,
this?
I guess, would you say your stance has shifted at all on when you think the deal will close and if it'll close or if it'll be blocked?
No, I think when
Has
this
any
is
of this
done,
changed?
I think when this is done, the closeover happens. I think
Yeah.
the judge. I feel like the judge is going to side with Microsoft because the FTC has made a very piss poor argument on
Yes. Apparently, she's been cutting them off more today.
they, they
It's,
they're
it's been
trying to
interesting.
get the gotcha. That's what they've been trying to get the whole time. Is they're trying to get the we gotcha,
Yeah.
gotcha moment.
But not
And
only is it
she's
not going
like,
to
no,
work, they're
I'm
not
done with this.
using anything correctly. Yeah. They're not presenting their case well.
Yeah, they sound like they're trying to run a slander campaign instead of actually like It's like they didn't have a case to begin with.
Yeah. It's another one of those, like, don't listen to how good I am, listen to how bad they are. Because it's to get eyes off Sony without technically lying about what they're doing. We didn't talk about how we have exclusives. We're just saying Xbox is doing it, and that's bad. Okay.
Yeah, and it's like the arguments are stuff. It's so weird that they're taking the market leaders, quote unquote.
But that's the weird thing. It's not even just taking their side. It's the idea that all of their arguments have been about will it hurt Sony and not will it hurt the consumers, when their job is
Yeah,
the consumers and not the bottom line for Sony. Like,
so
it
I
does not
don't
matter what happens to Sony.
honestly, I don't even see them like this affecting them that negatively. I
Hmm.
think what I foresee happening, okay, is the deal's going to close and then a bunch of stuff is going to stay the exact same. But marketing rights for Call of Duty are going to go back to Microsoft and they're never going to leave again.
Which I appreciate.
I
Back to
honestly
the way they
feel
were.
like I honestly feel like Call of Duty is going to be irrelevant at some point soon too.
I don't think it'll be soon, but of course it's definitely going to happen. But it's been
Maybe
more
not
than
irrelevant, but I don't think it'll be as predominant as it is.
the only way it will be less predominant is if someone makes a decent competitor. I know there's apparently a free to play that's coming that people are saying reminds them of the glory days of COD. So, depending on how that
They're not
is,
talking about Doctor Disrespect and his ex COD devs and whatever the hell that game is.
yeah, no,
NFT
they were talking
monster.
about X Defiant or something. I think it's in free to play right now and in beta access.
Is that the Korean or Chinese game?
Probably been quite a few of those lately.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't I feel like it was only a matter of time before people stopped caring about COD in the traditional
But it's
sense as
happened
like a box
before.
product.
It's gone out of waves and then come back. It's just very big now again because of 2019 success uh, with the remake of MW1 and you know MW2. The success isn't always there though. Vanguard was garbage and rushed out. I enjoyed Cold War, but not everyone did. And there's been a lot of hit or misses leading up to that. I think COD is dependent on how good that release year is. And the reason things are going to change is because they don't plan to release it every year once they acquire it. They said they want to actually give the teams some time to make a new game, not just keep shoveling the same COD machine shit out. So I think things will change for that reason, but I don't know if uh its player base will like downgrade or stop caring. I think it's just going to be a different type of momentum.
Yeah. I don't think this I think this is a nothing burger. And this is the thing, it's got to close at some point. Though a couple of things I did want to point out. Um I did listen to some of the broadcast. I want to say it was Thursday or Friday. I don't remember. I remember whenever Sarah Bond testified because she was talking about cloud gaming. They were asking her the profitability of cloud gaming
Yeah,
and
I think that was
how it
on
actually
Friday.
costs them money to run. It's not profitable at this time.
Yeah, it's not like it's a magical free thing that They just flip a switch and they're like, ah, here comes the money.
Yeah, because I was trying to explain it to someone, and why I don't understand why people are acting like cloud gaming is going to, take over and ruin everything. The thing is that you're going to have to rent, like GeForce Now. The way GeForce Now works is you have to rent, server space, and yeah, you're paying for Game Pass Ultimate to have access to xCloud. But
Yeah.
if you're Microsoft, you have to have the hardware infrastructure on the back end. Like, seriously, easiest way to explain how much bandwidth you use for game streaming is typical Look at how big a single image is, like a high quality image, like a screenshot from your
Couple
Xbox.
megabytes.
Okay, now times that by 60.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, so it's 2 megabytes a frame. If not bigger, like you're talking 4K, it could be, even bigger than that. I don't know if I have
Yeah.
a handy 4K. Actually, like, let's see. What resolution do these screenshots come out in?
I feel like it usually tends to be in between
Oh
2 and 10
no.
megabytes. What?
Phone. That's 1080p. The 1080p is about 1 point. Oh, yep. Fuck, I hate this. It better be important. Jesus Christ.
What's happening? You seem to be cutting out a bit.
Phone rang.
Oh, that explains that.
Yep.
Almost on cue every week. Even when we change the day.
Yep. Okay. So I have a 4K image here from Judgment. It takes up about 4.4 megabytes for a single image. Again, you have to send 60 of those, if not more,
So about 240 roughly. On the small
megabytes
side.
every second.
Mm-hmm. You better have gigabit internet for that.
I mean, there's compressions, other things you can do, but that's the basic is just that's just the basic. It's just like you look at how big one of these images are and you have to send them over the internet. It's not including anything else you have to send, like commands, which are latency dependent.
Mm.
I'm not going to claim that I know everything about how cloud gaming works, but
It's too late. You already have.
I know I claimed
You
everything.
can't lie to me now.
I'm just saying that this all costs money to
Oh
run.
god, yeah.
And if you're going to act like uh, it doesn't, or it's somehow cheaper, ultimately, I think it definitely is. Well, because this is the thing. Like, let's think about it. You're sending a 4K image at four mega. Well, what is it? It's like
I think
120
you said
megabytes a
4.4 for
second.
yours.
So 120 megabytes a second of bandwidth out. What if the person's streaming like Stardew Valley or something? That's probably like under a gig.
Yeah.
You could literally stream it for an hour and be more than the actual file size and download. I don't think cloud gaming is. I don't think
It's just
cloud
not
gaming is
viable
ever going
yet.
to be that popular. I
It
don't think
depends
it's
on the
not.
tech.
I don't think it's not that it's not viable. Because here's what I mean. Like this footage here you're looking at. Let's see if I can find it quick. I can tell you how big that file is. And it's probably on the big side. Where are you? I know you're here. Don't hide from me. I think it's
Do it, run.
this one. What's this one? It's 31.4 gigabytes. And that's a 1080p video file, if I'm not mistaken. I can double check it quick. Yes, this is 1080p, 60 frames a second, and it's 30 minutes long. Again, that's not 4K, and it's 31 gigabytes, which is bigger than the entire game installed for After Image. I'm pretty sure. I can double check that, but this has been my whole point is when people go on about it, it's like, this is the future, this is going to replace everything. Why would it? Like, honestly,
Because
why
it
would
sounds
it?
big and it's scary, and
It's
Microsoft's
cloud
trying to do
gaming.
it.
I understand why companies want cloud gaming over the download way. It cuts down on piracy, but the
Yeah,
reality is that most customers don't want it.
yeah, and this entire market is very dependent on the customers. I know every market is, but this needs to be like 90% of people are cool with it, or it's never gonna work.
So I just looked at the file size for After Image. It's 2.3 gigs. So this footage you're watching is 10 times the size of the game.
Yeah,
Just from and it's only 1080p footage. And if you play the game, it's 4K. So upscaling and all that could be a feel, but it's because of the raw frame rate. That's why like if I look at some of my ripped videos files that are 30 minutes long, do I have anything that's like high quality? Yeah, this whole folder of uh ripped series is about 3.5 gigs, 24 frames a second, 12 episodes. I think like 22 a pop. But that's the thing, they're re-encoded to something more reasonable. This is what you do for something you're gonna watch. Like this footage I don't usually keep forever. I'll keep it
mm-hmm.
for a while and then I'll move it to the archive server or re-encode it to something smaller. And I've been trying to work out a way to do that uh automatically. Like just put it in a folder and it'll do it as it goes. But like I've got archives of all sorts of things, and raw game footage is the most, I'd say, heavy or just massive file size of stuff I have.
Mm-hmm.
So someday I have a feeling that people will see it my way and understand that they're just wasting more internet than they need to. And they could just download the whole game. I think Sarah even said that a lot of people just use uh, xCloud to try a game out to see if they want to download it,
Yeah. I
especially with the
mean,
bigger
that's what
file
I do.
sizes.
At least if I'm at home, I play xCloud on the go, but at home, yeah, I just test it, see if it's
I
worth
don't
my
use
time.
xCloud on my phone because it barely works, and I don't have a ton of bandwidth.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Well, I mean, like, I don't really use my phone for stuff like that. I'll watch like YouTube or videos I have, like rips of stuff, but not everyone's got like huge data banks on their phone that they can burn all their data in a day.
Yeah.
So I think it's enough of a cloud argument.
Yeah.
I feel like it's
Yeah.
going to be a shorter show today, which is fine.
Yeah. I mean,
That's fine
the
by me.
the big stuff that's happened is mostly not finished yet. So while there's some talk of speculation, there's not too much to say. And we're right before a lot of the games release, but just after the time that we've already kind of talked about them coming. So I mean, there's not a ton to talk about yet today, um, except the potential for what the future has, which we've also been doing the last few times. Like once ABK goes through, then there's a lot to talk about. Possible IP revives, hoping to see certain studios come back, imagining which studios could work together with what to create what type of games. Like that in itself is its whole, topic.
Yeah. Cyanidel? Well, the Microsoft stock is up.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I think Blizzard stock and Microsoft stock could be going up and up from this case. Sony stock's actually gone down quite a bit too.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It's been the legal arguments and the fights here have been kind of not great. I've been kind of trying to avoid the whole topic of the ABK stuff because it's been a lot of the same for a very long time.
Yeah. Plus, people tend to be really toxic about it, even if you're just trying to see, a little bit of stuff. It's like
Yeah,
the volatileness, I should say.
well, some people just hate Xbox entirely and they don't want it to succeed at all.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like the problem is that they let I don't want to say they let Sony get complacent, but a lot of people have been. I don't think it's Microsoft's fault that Sony's complacent the way they are. Like they've tried to
Yeah.
compete. There was mess ups that happened along the way. That's fine, and they're trying to compete now. They have to do it differently than they can't do it the same way that Sony does. And when people are like, well, Xbox should compete, and then when they do compete, it becomes anti-consumer with these people.
Yep.
Um, Buying Bethesda, I know McQuack was talking about it. It's like Bethesda has not been the biggest supporter. It's not been the biggest supporter of PlayStation over its history, to be
Yeah.
completely honest.
And they've been really big with Microsoft. Not just Xbox, but Microsoft in general.
Yeah, no, yeah,
Eh,
from like the beginning,
Yeah.
and
And I don't mean it in a mean way to PlayStation because it's like, oh, but you like Xbox. No, but like historically looking back between, recent stuff like mods not working well on their stuff and the infrastructure making it hard to make the games run, all the way to they wanted to enter the console space but didn't really have faith and know how to do it. And they worked with Microsoft to create their first attempt, and it worked really well. They're really
yeah,
happy
that
with
would
it.
be Morrowind on the original Xbox.
Yes.
And that's the thing. I'm not trying to say like because there's a bunch of people who'd be really upset if Square was the one that got bought, not ABK.
Yeah.
But I honestly
On
think
both
that
sides.
I don't I don't blame Microsoft for being like, well, we could just run it ourselves and make sure we don't get skipped.
Yeah. And I can totally understand that because the longer it happens, the less of a fuck you give about doing things the nice way. And that's why I say things like the more you push Microsoft, the less, compassionate I'm going to feel when they do something. You poke a bear long enough, who do you blame? The bear for finally smacking the guy or the guy who wouldn't leave the bear alone? It's not the best analogy, but all I can think of is these people thrive on pushing and bullying and shit talking, and in the instant there might be any possible consequence for what their actions are, they immediately cry. They're like, "No, it's not fair. I hate this." Okay, you got to stop being an asshole then. It goes both ways.
Yep.
Oh my, Sony's
His
greatest
greatest
enemy, the
enemy.
Sharpie.
Sharpie. Oh my god. That's a great meme. The Sharpie.
See, I appreciate people like Tom who will make fun of both sides while reporting stuff. like just
Well, there's
throwing
that one
out
guy.
funny
He's been
jokes.
like, keeps hearing the stuff and then be like, "Well, they're gonna get rid of things," and I'm like, "Really?"
Yeah, they're actively saying under oath they won't get rid of it. Nah, see, that's proof that he said it under there. You can tell he's lying. Can you? He's choosing to throw away money and lie about it under oath. That seems like dumb on all the accounts. But what do I know? I'm not so far up someone's ass that I can taste it. So maybe I don't get it. Maybe it's not cool enough.
Maybe. I personally just feel like, can we? I guess we talked about it a bit in the beginning of the show, but uh, in the pre-ramble, but the Final Fantasy 16 sales. I don't usually talk about sales because one, I don't really care. I'm not an investor of Square Enix. I'm not their mother. I don't make the expectations. Now it did
Yeah.
3 million in the opening weekend.
And they said that included physical and digital. The problem is,
Now,
com-
no, hold on, I was gonna
okay,
stop
okay.
you.
Well, there was a very long pause, so I didn't know who was supposed to
I
be
was
talking.
getting to it. Uh, so I was looking it up,
Do
but okay, screw off League of Legends. I don't care about you.
you want me to send you the
So
picture of
Final
the
Fantasy
article?
VII Remake did 3.5 million in the first 3
hmm
days. Now, I'm assuming if it had done 3.5 million, they would have just said 3.5 million. I believe
Yeah,
it's probably like just over, or just a number that doesn't round well.
yeah.
But it says it was an amazing new record for the franchise. Was it?
I mean, maybe if they're counting like a single console and not like the franchise as a whole. Like, this is our specific best PlayStation 5 launch. So this is the only PlayStation 5 you've done. Yep, and that's why it's the best. Like, I'm getting those vibes of it's not lying
So
because
it
we're
launched
very
in like,
specific.
if I remember correctly, um, Final Fantasy VII Remake launched sometime in like March 2020.
Yeah, either March or April. It was right around when COVID was starting.
So it didn't hit 5 million until August.
Ooh, let me double check the launch because I'm curious.
August 7th is when they announced that it hit 5 million. And this is the thing. I'm not trying to downplay or say anything here. What I'm trying to say is that I'm pretty sure.
Oh, it launched April 10th, 2020 for PS4. And then Intergrade was June 10th, 2021, PS5. It didn't come to other platforms though until December 16th, 2021. And by other platforms, I mean the PC.
Yeah. Oh no, no, sorry. You mean the Epic Game Store?
Yeah, well, yeah, because it just
it
had listed
wasn't.
as
It wasn't
Windows.
Steam. It was the Epic Game Store.
I only said PC, but yeah, it was listed as Windows.
So
Although I
it
remember it didn't come
and
to Steam.
Final Fantasy 15 hit 9.5 million copies in 2021. Which is interesting, but it came out in the 16. Uh, Very interesting. Not gonna tell me numbers I want to hear.
What are you looking for?
No, because in 2016, like it took them quite a while to get it. That's the thing. The adoption is that's about 3 million is about 10%. Yeah, 10% of the current PS5, which is decent. That's decent adoption for a game.
hmm
I'm not gonna act like it's not impressive, but the thing is that it didn't do better than Final Fantasy VII Remake in the same amount of time.
Yep. And this one has been way more hyped up than that one was. Granted, that one had nostalgia, but
And there was a
way
pandemic
more.
going on, and people were stuck at home and didn't have anything better to do.
Yeah.
I
This does not sound right.
These numbers, yeah, that
The
does sound right. But I'm not
Yeah,
gonna.
no, I was looking at Final Fantasy 15 for sales, and it says in Japan the PS4 version topped Japanese gaming charts, selling 690,471 units. The Xbox One version sold nearly 3,800. So together they sold about 694,262. What? Did they mean in Japan at the time? Because they didn't specify.
I think it's in Japan. That sounds about right. I
Yeah, Japanese sales was about 900,000 uh in the beginning. United Kingdom had over a million. Within the first 20, yeah, within the first 24 hours, Square reported that Final Fantasy 15 had shipped 5 million units worldwide in both physical and digital. So, Final Fantasy 15 did double what 16 did, and Final Fantasy 15 did it in a day. It was the most first day digital sales in Japan for any game up to that point. It set records for physical shipments and downloads in mainland Asia. Commenting on the large numbers, Tabata revealed that the strong sales saved the Final Fantasy franchise as a whole, which had been declining commercial success in recent years. According to Square Enix, shipments had reached 6 million by January 2017. In May of the same year, the game and Rise of the Tomb Raider helped to increase sales and profits for them. By May 2022, it had sold 10 million units across all
Rise of the
versions.
Tomb Raider. You say? Wait, excuse me. Wait, was that the Xbox exclusive, or when did it come to PlayStation on that? Because that is the hot button topic right there. I forgot how close those were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I honestly did. Um,
But it's just funny because, you know, if Final Fantasy 16 did half of it in multiple days, why are people trying to pretend that Final Fantasy 15 bombed and 16 is doing amazing?
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. I really don't.
Like, I get that there's bias and people are trying to fit agendas, but it just doesn't logically even make a little sense, let alone any sense.
Well, I'll be honest with you. I have I believe our friend on Twitter said it best. A toxic love hate relationship with Square Enix. Is that how he put it?
I wouldn't even say I have that anymore. I'd say I love
Abusive
some of the
relationship with
IPs.
Square Enix. Yes,
Yeah,
that's
I can't
that's
even say it's that anymore. Because I love some of their IPs, but I've been abused in that relationship so much that I don't care almost at this point if stuff skips me. I'm angry, but I'm not as invested as I used to be in their franchises because of how inconsistent they are. It used to be like a frustration that would really bug me, and at this point, it's like, oh, it skipped us. I'm not surprised. Whatever. Like, it sucks, but I'm just not as invested in the franchises as I used to be because of how they've been treating me as a customer.
hey guys. This game, this game right here,
Does your
it's a
money
better game. Just play Tales of Arise. It's on sale for like 25-ish bucks. I've seen it as slow as like 25-ish dollars for physical copy.
It's a very good game. It's a very good series in general, but specifically that title
Tales
is a very
Tales
good
of
game.
Arise was above and beyond in my opinion. Like this is one of the greatest JRPGs I've ever played. For like epic story, trying to be like one of the best in my opinion.
Yeah,
Star
it did
Ocean
an
was
amazing
okay.
job. Mhm.
Divine Force was okay, but like Tales of Arise,
Tales did an amazing job of juggling really fun gameplay with really good story. and also having very good visuals. It managed to hit all the right notes. It didn't feel like it was sacrificing something to achieve something else.
Nope. And it had the stupid it had all the best scenes that you'd expect in a JRPG
They
if you
also
knew where to
voiced
look.
every skit, which is something that they've been trying to do more in some of the remakes, but they still didn't do as many. Every skit is fully voice acted. And if you're curious what that is, basically you have optional mini cutscenes that just show. I mean, before it used to show like a character picture with tiny emotions. Now it's got like the whole silhouette, but it basically does mini lore and world building things based on things that are happening currently, things that are happening with your party, locations. There's hundreds of them. I don't remember how many Arise had. I know Tales of Abyss had like 680, and that was
I
like
don't
from
think it was that
15,
many
20
for
years ago.
Arise, but what was
Mm.
there was really good.
Yeah, and it's great because it's optional. If someone's like, I don't care as much, I don't want to watch this many cutscenes or whatever, you don't have to. You can push a button when a little prompt appears,
I
and
always
you can enjoy the little cutscene.
I always feel like when they translate those to English, I play these games in Japanese always, like Japanese audio
He's
always.
big weeb.
The biggest weeps. He even speaks it. He's got books in Japanese too. What the hell is this? Look at this.
All I can think of
I
is the
can't read
caricature.
this.
I'm gonna be the Japaneseiest.
I can't read this. It's like this man's got books just here. But it's actually really funny because the thing is, whenever they do one of these the skits, but they're not voiced, I feel like all the character just flies out the window, like it's gone. It's just
Mm,
absolutely gone. Like you're reading it and you're like, this doesn't sound like this character at all.
yeah.
I feel that way. Maybe I'm not the only one, but maybe I'm the only one. But like, it's like you if
For
you're
me,
playing
it
like
depends.
Neptune and Neptune's talking, but she's not. You don't have the voice actress going. You just lose all that energy and all that
Yeah,
ridiculousness.
some characters are very, I don't want to say very dependent on their voice, but it builds so much of their character that there's so much lost without it. Um, yeah, and for some characters, it's their visual look. For some, it's their voice.
That's probably
Um,
one of my biggest complaints with Loop 8 is that not all the dialogue is voiced. And when it is
mm.
voiced, it's like really good. When it's not voiced, it's very
And
uh
that's the thing. I get in the older days when stuff like that wasn't voiced, didn't have the time, you didn't have the money to hire the right people, didn't have the equipment. If you were a lower, smaller team, that's fine. In today's games, especially if you have some scenes that are voiced, just do it all. It is
if you
so much
can,
better for the quality.
if it comes between doing it more than one language, like more than one audio language, or doing
Mhm.
everything voiced, always, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
no, I
Because the thing
totally
is,
agree.
like, because the actors can do so much for a scene and make things like pop so much better.
Yeah,
I think it's
and I've played
also
numerous. Oh, go on.
no, go ahead.
I've played numerous games where English is not the native language, so I'll have English subtitles and listen to the native language for the game, and I'm still happy to do that. So if the reason people don't do it is like, oh, then we'd have to dub every language. No, you don't. And I don't mean that in a mean way to people who want their dubs. I just mean you can put your native language as the only dub and then make sure everyone's got subtitles, and people will enjoy that. They might not as much as their language, but if the option is only a different language or nothing, only a different language is fine. I think the characters really come to life. At least if you hear that voice, for the character, then you can kind of put a face to it, and it's just a different visualization. It's
I
kind of like when you read a book and then you see the character in like a
well,
TV show or a
I have
movie.
a manga here with a character who is very animated, and like I'm looking at the. Obviously, you guys can't read this, so I'm showing it would be whatever.
It's in Moon Runes.
But the thing is, like, I think Japanese just works better to do things because like you do the spaces. If you actually ever watch a show with or like anything with Japanese subs or seen Japanese subs, they put the spaces in and everything.
Hmm.
Like in English, they don't do that, and sometimes it's kind of awful watching some things with English subs, Japanese
Hmm.
audio, because you can say stuff like in English you'd say certain things a certain way. In Japanese
Yeah,
you'd
and
say it backwards.
contextually it'll be different. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I get that, but luckily for this problem, if you don't need the subs, you can turn them off. But if you do, then you can keep them on, and you wouldn't know the difference because you didn't
You wouldn't,
understand
but I'd
the
much
spoken
rather
language.
games be full if you have to pick. Like the more fully voiced stuff you can get is better, in my
Oh yeah,
opinion.
that's what I mean. Like even if it was full Japanese voice, but then you had English subs, you know, the people who don't know Japanese will be fine with the English subs, and then the people who do, they have the dub, so they wouldn't even need the English. So like that would save everyone. Nice backflip, by the way. I just looked up and saw Monster Hunter. You did a flip on this dude's head, and then immediately jumped into his low Kamehameha.
Absolutely, absolutely love Monster Hunter.
It's such a good game.
It really
I mean,
is.
series in general, but
I'm so excited for a new one.
yes, I love the aesthetic of Rise, but I would like if Monster Hunter stepped a little bit away from doing a specific theme and just did Monster Hunter. Like,
I'm gonna be honest with you. The next Monster Hunter, I want it to be like Onimusha 3, whereas like the past and the future like mixed together.
I mean, I'd be down for something like that. Futuristic stuff in general has a lot of really cool potential. Can you imagine some robotic or augmented versions of monsters? You could do some new weapons too. I want to see a new weapon. It's been far too long since we had any
Insight
new
Blade was
weapons.
the last new one, and that was from 4.
Yeah,
It's my
um,
favorite weapon. I
I do
used
love it.
Longsword before that, and I absolutely will not go back.
Oh,
Will
dude,
not go
everyone
back.
online hates longsword users because it hits everybody in the party. It's such a wide swing, and it's technically easy mode. They keep making it easier to use and more overpowered,
I remember
and they
how it
always
was
use
like
it in the trailers.
it was the like Longsword was has been the go-to one for all sorts of things because self-sharpening weapons was a thing at one point.
Yeah.
So it's like speed hunts, self-sharpening, and I'm like,
Sorry, I
yep.
saw you run in and someone else died,
Oh,
so you ran in and got exploded and just stood there like just disappointed.
disappointed. I didn't set it to
I remember when I saw that famous line, but it was in Evil Within 2. Wasn't expecting that. It was a very funny little Easter egg to see.
disappointed. No.
I believe it's when you're
You
in
know
the
what game I
shooting
really
range and
want
you
to
fuck
come
up.
back?
A game or a game series?
Game
What?
Project X Zone.
Oh, I finished most of the first one and I bought the second and didn't finish it. I really want to, but I don't know where my copy is right now.
I'm gonna be honest. It's not the easiest series to get into, but
Because it's like 30 series in one.
yeah, yeah. There's so many. It's like which characters are these from other stuff, and which ones aren't. But it was so sick.
Yeah, the concept was great too. There's so many fun ways to interact too. It's bring
It
it
was just fun to
back.
have Frank West show.
I loved using Frankie Boy.
Who did you
The
partner
whole
Frank with?
sometimes Mega Man, sometimes
Sometimes
Morgan.
Mega Man. Mega Man.
He was good with Morgan though.
No, I put it with if I remember correctly, it was what's the what's her name again? The Jiangxi? I gotta stop saying stuff in Asian language. Not gonna say it.
I did put him with Phoenix Wright a few times.
No, the Kung ah the Jiangxi. What's her name again? I can always forget it.
What
Why do I?
franchise?
Darkstalkers. The Jiangxi.
Um, I know the characters, but I don't know what does the character look like that you're trying to describe.
She's the Jiangxi. You know, the Chinese zombie vampire?
Oh,
It's called the
wait a minute.
Jiangxi or Kyongxi in
Oh my
Japanese.
god. I need to check her name now
I was
because
partnered
I know
him with her because
she was
they had
great.
funny interactions. I can't remember her
Because
name
they're
for some
both
reason.
like wild cards. They're both just goofballs.
Yes, that was the best. It was the best.
Uh, let me double check her
And I
name.
had
Cause
Morgan partnered with Dante.
yeah, they had some cute stuff together too. Cause she's always hitting on him, and he's
Always.
always like, "Please stop."
Please stop. It's like, but you're so good. Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely love Project Exo. It is a shame that it was only a 3DS game, and I think it did not do very well because it was only a 3DS game, at least in the West.
this is her name, I think. Yeah, Shinko.
Cool.
Hsienko. She's got her big ass arms.
Yeah.
Oh man, her birthday's 1730. Likes traveling with her sister and her mother. Dislikes evil. BB Hood who has guns. Lord Raptor.
Oh, Hi, Hi, Seiko. Yes.
Hi Shinko. I love how they even have to put her measurements. It's like, not only is she not real, she's like a zombie thing. And it's like, but what are the titties? I have to know. Uh-huh.
That's probably for cosplayers.
I guess that's true. I never really think about that stuff because I've seen so many different shapes and sizes of people doing the same outfit that it just doesn't seem like it matters as much.
Lilith,
Oh, that's right. Mei Ling.
Alicia,
They
Seiko.
decided to use the Tensei no Jutsu.
Anyway, yeah. Project X. Project X, absolutely fantastic. Would also settle for a new Darkstalkers game that isn't a fighting game. I feel like fighting games are all well and good, but if you're not one of the big ones, you kind of end up being super niche. I say as I completely enjoy thoroughly games like I was gonna say Skullgirls, but apparently they did up.
That fucked up.
Yeah, they updated it and ruined it. People are really mad.
Yeah. I totally forgot that her sister rests on her head all the time. Her sister is the charm.
Oh,
They
hi,
like,
Single.
yeah, they fused. Basically, the village got overrun by a powerful dark stalker that killed their mom, and they used like a forbidden spell to try to get her soul back. Like this
Man,
is
that reminds
fucking
me of a different Kyungsi
full
from
metal.
a different series whose
The setup
sister's a
reminds me of
panda.
Full Metal. Yeah, they turned into a Zhengxi, um, and it gave them unusual abilities. But Mei Ling is basically the ward paper on her hat because Shenko can't control it otherwise. Her abilities and such. So they fight with her as the body, and Mei Ling is basically the mind.
Interesting. That definitely reminds me of Justin Jiang and Kyung Kyung.
I mean, it's
That
technically
is
what
her
they
name,
become.
right?
Which one?
Kyung Kyung. That's her name, isn't it?
Uh, Hsienko? Shenko?
No, Kyung Kyung.
What is Kyung Kyung?
Kyung Kyung. And Justin Chan.
K
Justin Chan.
Kyrng?
You know the dropkick on my devil,
Yeah,
and there's the Jiangxi or the
yeah.
Kyungxi. depending on what language you want to pick.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure her name is Kyung Kyung. Yes, it is. It's Kyung Kyung.
Okay. Well, I thought you were talking about these characters still, and I didn't know what the fuck was going
I'm
on.
just saying that she's kind of the same because her sister lives on her shirt as the panda.
Oh, you're right. I wasn't even thinking of that serious. I thought you said something about a panda, and I was like, I don't
I
remember a
was talking
panda
about
being
a
a character.
panda. The panda lives on her shirt.
What? When you said
Trying
panda,
to
I was
pull her
like,
out of
panda
her
in a
chest.
fighting game. I was like, that's Tekken. That's not Darkstalkers.
Panda man lives on forever.
This
Yeah, wrong
is
way.
hilarious. I was just scrolling through characters, and I get to Felicia, and it's like, Felicia, birthday, 1967, birthplace, Las Vegas, Nevada. Oh?
Really? I'm not surprised.
I,
Where
I wasn't quite
werecats?
expecting that one.
There's a werecat infestation in the. Yeah. Okay. What is coming this week?
Well, now the question is, do we not go into July at all, or do we still do a week and go into July too?
We'll probably go till next Wednesday. I'm not sure what next week's is going to be, but we're going to try to avoid Tuesday because that's when the Everything Xbox podcast happens.
Yeah, and we want to share the homies. We don't want to make people pick and
Yeah,
choose.
we don't want to
It's
pick and choose
all
between
love,
us or Jamie. So
especially because they'll win because they're awesome.
yeah,
Say
they are
that.
cool people. We hang out, we talk. Don't worry. Well, we stuck Logan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked to Jamie on his posts. We just don't have the same group chat
Yeah,
with him.
we don't have a direct line to Jamie, or we probably end up on that show once in a while, or one of us would.
They pick me.
They pick you? I don't know. I'm not trying to fight over.
No, I know.
I'm not fighting over who'd be the guest in that podcast. But
Yeah. Either that or they'd have like my JPEG with your voice. They're like, yeah, this is this who is
yeah,
this?
we got these guys. Yeah, we got both of
Yeah,
them. Check it out. They're both
it's
here. Yeah.
Trustin. It's Trustin.
Yeah. Okay. I remember seeing
So, what is today? The 28th or the 29th?
28. Oh, noob. So tomorrow.
So, we got Shoot Vaders today. Couldn't tell you what
Sh-
that is. I don't remember seeing it in the
Shoot
store.
Vaders?
Yeah.
New games. If it's out today, it should be here. Oh, Shoot Vaders. There it is. Hold on. I'm
Ah,
switching. Let me switch.
he's
Shoot
switching.
Vaders. Your mission to blast out the galaxy. Wait, look at this one.
I
It
don't
looks like
think
Space
so.
Invaders, but also
No, this
Galaga.
is totally different. It's called Shoot Vaders. Completely different.
I think it's like both. Oh, it's got two-player co-op. Friendly fire,
Is
but
it
not
local
crash
or
friendly.
online? And I only say that because it says
Xbox
the only
Live
mode
says
is
single
single player.
player, but it says it also has co-op. What?
Yeah.
Stop lying. What are you lying? Okay, whatever. It's $9.
We also
Uh,
have your computer might be at risk. The one to the left of that.
yeah,
That
we
one
looked at
looked
this one.
interesting.
It was weird.
Yeah. I think Larry was talking about it today too. Um I don't see Deadliest Catch on my list here, but I see Deadliest Catch the game on your screen. It's surprisingly expensive for what I assumed would be like a $5 game.
Deadliest Catch even a show still on TV?
My answer is maybe. I know they do a lot of reruns, but I don't know if they have some kind of like Deadliest Catch Antarctica or
But
like
it's not Octodad Deadliest Catch. So
yes, which is a shit. There needs to be more from that game. I mean, those guys do
yeah.
great stuff in general, but
Well, Bugsnax was okay, but
yeah, it wasn't on the same
Octodad,
level though.
Octodad.
Octodad was peak. Um, we also have the AEW Fight Forever, which I think is the one right next to the Deadliest Catch.
Deadliest, yeah. Elite Edition. Uh, it says pre-order still.
Yeah, I think it's because one version came out today, and then like the non-special version comes out tomorrow. I think. Oh man, that guy sure is yelling.
I don't know why I was yelling, but okay, we're gonna move away from that. Bloom,
Oh man, drugs are bad.
Bloomith. Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Dude, thou bloometh. It is a hell of a drug.
Beat
But
all
you know what they
obstacles with
say?
your trusty bow and little squisher.
Don't knock it till you try it.
I'm not saying the skin looks bad, just I didn't know anything about it.
Oh no, I was talking about cocaine.
Oh no. Cocaine's a hell of a drug. We don't
Yeah, but that's right. But how can we? You know, you never know until you try it.
no, not even once. I made a not even once joke the other day that probably is gonna get me in shit to someone, but I don't even care. I'm not
uh,
repeating it here because I'm like, oh, we don't want to give credit to people who are clout chasers.
yeah,
Clout
no
chasers
fun.
do not get it.
We have Burnhouse Lane coming tomorrow, and I don't know what that is.
What?
Burnhouse and then space Lane, as if like street, but lane instead.
Is that coming soon? Tomorrow or today?
Yeah, everything else is coming tomorrow or later. Shoot
Burn
Vaders and
House
Computer were the
Lane.
only ones.
Noob!
Uh, I,
Factionless. Which is so
I
weird.
also have Never Awake on here, which I thought had already released multiple times. I'm pretty sure I own Never Awake. Um, and then we have Enclave, which I see there. We've gone over.
Yeah.
And Noob.
Which I
Friday
still
we
don't know what's
have.
going on with that game.
Yeah, same here. I've heard good things about it from people that have played it, but I could not confirm. Doom and Destiny Worlds. Then that's
Oh yeah.
Friday,
That is
along
Friday.
with yeah, and that one looks good. I've always appreciated the Doom and Destiny games.
Code Domination. I have
I
to
think
give them
one,
props for the name there.
yeah, one of them
Which,
was called like Advanced Warfare. It was like a pun on Advanced Warfare, which was popular at the time.
oh, I
Um,
seen Chili Dog.
we also have Front Mission first, the remake.
I saw
It's
that
still
in the
not up
store,
there.
but why isn't it here?
Yeah,
I definitely saw them advertising it.
yeah, I could have sworn I did too.
It is not
Strange.
here.
And Ghost Trick, also of course. I don't know if you
The
played the
Phantom
demo
did not.
yet. It was fun. It's been getting really good reviews too. Lots of nines and tens.
Uh,
Love to hear it.
I haven't played it yet, but I've been like knee deep in other games, and then I bought other games because I'm a weirdo.
No, I feel that. My backlog would be much less than 1,000+ games if I had finished one candy bar before I started another.
Not gonna happen.
Never gonna happen.
Uh, yeah, Ghost Trick is on the 6th.
It's supposed to be on the 30th.
This is the 6th here. Oh, 30th. Never mind. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong spot. You are correct. It
Oh,
is
I
Friday.
was gonna say, I was like, but wait, you're the one that has it backwards because you've got the UK format, not the America one.
That's the way the rest of the world does it.
Yeah, but you know what?
When America's
I was
backwards and
taught.
the rest of the world's
I was
the
gonna say I was taught differently, so it's hard for me to unlearn the incorrect stuff.
No, I
Um,
just assumed to see American dates, so
yeah.
thanks.
Goodbye World, but I don't see that there. I don't think.
Let's see if it's here.
Yeah, I have no idea what it is, except the last thing someone might say before leaving this mortal coil. Hopefully, it's less depressing than that. Your console just shuts off. Okay, goodbye.
It's a movie.
uh, well, I assume there's a game and not just a movie, but I can't confirm either. We also
Uh,
have Inner Ashes, which
Inner
for all I know could be a movie too.
Acid. Coming soon. Inner Acid? Ash. This one. It's right here. A first
Oh yeah.
person puzzle game? Alcohol references. Mild language.
How much do you talk in this game? There's some mild language. You may find a bit of English in there. It's
My
mostly
name is
quiet.
Henry Hughes. I was a forest
Oh
ranger.
man, look at
It
that
still seems
tree.
strange to me to say this out loud,
Such wood.
especially with no one at home listening. Even so, I force myself to do it every day to put my thoughts in order. And not to forget, I guess. Today I received a letter from her. From Enid. From my daughter. It's the first
My
time
God,
I've
it
spoken
looks
to
just
her
like me.
since- Well, for years. I don't even know how to react. Would I recognize her if I saw her now? I want to think so, but it's already hard for me to say what I can or can't do. I try to heed her message and remember the good times we had together. As if it was so easy to remember.
There's talking happening here, but
Every
it seems
time
like
I
it is
try,
not coming through
my
for some
mind
reason.
returns confusing images.
I have my stream muted as usual
But I
because
have to do it.
if I have the sound on, my
I
mic
will
will pick
find
it up,
through my
and then
memories
it'll create a forever loop,
while I
which is
last.
awful to listen to. But I assumed someone was talking, which is why I was
Hey,
keeping the hush hush.
PlayStation talents.
What?
That's awesome.
And now this
No, look
this
in
is
the
where things
bottom,
get
bottom left,
interesting.
bottom left, bottom left.
I gotta wait for something to appear. I see you scrolling still.
I think it's like right here-ish. There it is.
Was it the thing in the middle?
Yeah, PlayStation talents.
Oh, I couldn't even see it from how small my screen is. I just saw the little controller. Oh yeah, it's
Yep.
got a triangle, X, square.
Yeah, it says PlayStation talents. But it's got an Xbox logo at the
Oh,
end. So maybe
but
it's a layup
remember,
port.
we don't let stuff happen day one on here from other platform holders, according to the FTC.
Well, it even says PlayStation. This is the first time I've ever. Yeah, maybe not first time.
Maybe
Interesting.
MLB was the first. Yeah, the only two left besides much later. Like we have July 6th next, another July 6th, and then July 11th. So maybe we should stop at the July 6s. We have Guilt, which I remember we looked at, and we were like, "Oh, that's cute. It's like a little horror game."
Yeah, that's cool.
And
It's on my list of
Scarf.
stuff to look at, but
Yeah, it's definitely got potential.
Safari Pinball. There's always a new pinball game.
It's the same dudes, right? Like every time.
Yeah,
The
pretty
ones that
sure.
did the pirates and props to them. They're finding ways to make money. They're
I
making it
mean,
work.
yeah, okay. So it was light on the old. Well, this is kind of the light time of year for game releases, though.
Yeah, it's right in between everything. Like summer just started, so they know less people would be playing anyway. The announcements just ended.
Yeah.
They got to prepare to release all the stuff right when the kids go back to school, just to fuck with them.
You better get
Which
your
is
studies
always,
done.
it's just always how I felt it went. Like when I was in school, I was like, oh man, summer's almost over. Look, a cool new game's coming out. The day after I start school, it's like, oh, being a kid's hard. It's not actually that hard. Um, isn't Mordhau the game that's coming that I just saw? Isn't that like the huge multiplayer game, like the medieval one, up to like
Talking
64
about Game
people or
Pass
something?
stuff, or
It just said coming soon in the coming soon Xbox section. I don't know. It could be Game Pass, who knows? All I know is it's like there were sieges and let me see. It's got
how?
a 81 Metacritic and a very
Oh,
positive on Steam.
Mordau.
Yeah, that
Yes.
one. I remember this being huge on PC for a bit. I think this is the first time it's come in any console. It reminded me a bit of Chivalry, but it focused more so on like the realism and
Hmm.
the combat.
Le Combat.
It looked interesting. The
Alright,
combat.
Le Combat. Achievement Hunter sale? What?
There's just 15 copies of Avatar in there.
Oh no, it was
No,
okay. I was not a big fan
yeah.
of it. I got upset when the protagonist said we shouldn't take the chainsaw with us because it makes a bad weapon. This is a video game, sir. Oh, Rad Rogers. Rad Rogers is a cool game.
Excuse me, sir. This is a video game. Is he truly rad though? originally kind of rad.
Oh, this is my Slipgate. Duke Nukem's a playable character in it.
Well, that's cute.
Commander Keen. Okay. I don't know if Jazz Jackrabbit's actually playable, but it's so weird. Raptor boyfriend, a high school romance. Excuse me. Excuse me.
I think I've seen the
Robert.
trailer for this once. I feel like everyone's normal except the boyfriend, but no one comments on it.
Sexuals.
I have to turn this up a little.
I think you can hear it. Wait, is a werewolf dude? Raptor boyfriend.
A high school romance.
I love it. His name's Robert.
Yeah, just so plain and normal.
The other guys. Wait.
Okay, no.
No. Everyone looks weird.
Yes. Yeah, I was gonna say someone's got wings. This dude's never shaved a day in his life. Maybe it's that she was the only normal one and everyone else was weird. Well, weird's a mean thing to say. Non-humanoid.
Kind of reminds me of.
A tail boyfriend?
Yeah.
Is that a moth? Make key decisions to decide who lives and who dies.
Oh my god. It
My
totally
guy's
is. I think it's based off of Robbie Sinclair. That is such a crazy. Robert.
Say something, say anything at all. Your choices totally matter.
I mean, what a
Thank God
weird
they're
game.
hand-drawn and not robot-drawn. In these anti-robot times we live in.
Skatebird!
I actually 100% of that game, and there was one or two achievements that really pissed me off when it came out. Like, the struggle was real. It was not a super easy game. It was fun, but, like, I wouldn't go back
Teacup.
to it because I have Tony Hawk, and it's great.
The Forest Cathedral. This game rears its ugly head again. 50% off.
Oh, man.
Internet boy
So
commits
exciting.
tax evasion.
Oh, look.
It's time to
Watch
be
Dogs
sad.
and
Let's be
Ghost
sad,
Recon.
everyone. Let's be sad together. How about not?
It's a good game, it's just you will be sad. 12 Minutes was also fantastic. I feel like that game didn't get the credit it deserved.
I forgot about it, and then I'm gonna forget about it again, and then I'll find
It's
it eventually. And be like,
genuinely a masterpiece. It
yeah,
had some crazy big names too. William
I
Defoe. Oh my god, I always forget his name. He was in Glass. No, he wasn't in Glass. He was in the other two. Um, not James. It might be James.
it might be James. I don't know. Is it James? It might be James. It might not be
It's
James.
either James or it's not James. Let me just look up his fucking name because it's gonna drive me insane. James McAvoy. It was James. I knew it. I was like, that name was on my mind, James. And Daisy Ridley was the wife, aka Ray from Star Wars. William Defoe was the detective, and your character, James McAvoy. One of the endings was really fucked up.
Only one?
Yeah.
With a game like
No,
that, I would have expected all of them to
there
be
were
really
a few
messed
that
up.
were fucked up. Don't get me wrong, but there was one that was really fucked up. I don't want to spoil it, but I'll just
Pumpkin
say
Jack
like
is a
one
great game,
ending.
everyone. Even though the last level's a Christmas level.
Well, that's the Nightmare Before Christmas level.
Yeah, we didn't need that. I was just digging the vibe until it was Christmas Land, and I was like, why did you do this? Why did you do this, sir? Uh, I
That
did
one's
any
cute.
good here. With this one? I don't know what this is. Looks like a
Yes.
looks like an arcade shooter. That's
Yeah,
fine.
I think it's a twin stick. They've made another game that I got on Switch that
I
was
mean, it's
cute and
$1.50,
fun.
so if you want to
Yeah,
pick it up. But I'm not gonna play it. I don't have time for all these games. Just looking at
Speedrunners
these.
is great.
Oh, SteamWorld Dig.
That's
These
another
are
great game.
SteamWorld Dig for $2 is a literal steal. Literal
Yeah,
steal.
the sequel's really good too. People don't talk about it as
Uh,
much for some reason, but
SteamWorld Dig 2's fine. My problem with this is it just kind of ends.
I'd say the story wasn't as good, but the gameplay was better.
The gameplay was better, yes.
But
SteamWorld
I
Dig
definitely
2
like the
is
story of the first one.
the story of the first one's better.
Look at
Population
that lad.
tyranny.
What a dapper
Yeah,
lad he is.
yeah. $2. So definitely worth it.
Wasn't someone in talks to get that studio recently? Because
I don't
I
remember what
feel
the
like
studio
someone
was.
was like, "Oh, this studio," and then it was like,
Image and Forms.
"What the hell
There
have
should
they
be.
made?" And then someone was like, "Oh, it's the Steam guys, the Steam robot guys."
Yeah. I don't know what this game is, but it looks metalist.
It's gonna be like a stick fighting game.
Oh, it's got nudity in it too. What?
Like violence? I didn't expect that. Secretly.
Oh, it's like Castlevania and Contra mixed. Why would you name it Siegfried otherwise? I mean, oh, okay. How did this get
What?
past Chara?
Wait,
How
I
did
missed
this
it. What
get past
happened?
Chara? They only showed it for like 2 seconds. How did it get past Chara? It's right there.
I didn't see what it was because it cut out.
It's
But
right
oh,
there. I just see it now. After seeing it in the game, now I'm like, how did this get past Chara? I need to know.
maybe he's into it.
Is this a Fifth Element reference? No, no, sorry, that was Total Recall reference.
Yes. I still love the Family Guy joke about that. Like, you know what I was talking to a guy about? And he's like, that ferret boob was paper mache. And he's like, of course it was. No, it has three boobs. It was still amazing. And he's like, man, you are really passionate about this.
Yeah, the beast inside. I've been close to Protocol for cheaper, but people are saying the DLC was not good.
The DLC for what?
The Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, people are frustrated with the story, and it's still not playing super well. I feel like it had a lot of potential, but I don't know. They didn't focus on
I haven't played
a
it, so I don't want to. I don't want
safe
to
release.
comment on it because I haven't played it yet.
I
But
haven't played it myself, but I've watched my friend stream it and a different friend stream it. And unfortunately, from the look of it, I should say, it's been rough. Well, I got White Noise too. It's a good game.
yeah, all right. I think that's actually going to be basically it for us this week. Decent short-ish for us, anyway.
Yeah, only 3 instead of 12.
Yeah, I don't need to be going all day.
Yeah, I mean it's a nice midweek break, just to help you get over hump day.
Yep. And next week we'll be back with more stuff. I'm sure there'll be a lot more Activision Blizzard stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, tomorrow actually might be
Well,
when stuff's.
there's still deliberation. I think is tomorrow the last day?
Yeah, she said she wanted the answer by tomorrow.
Oh, she wanted the answer by tomorrow.
Yeah,
Oh man,
I remember
I've
they
heard
had
that
said that last week.
the Cat Tribunal is supposed to be end of the
Yeah,
week
I
or
think they're
something.
doing it Friday, but the big thing was, would that even matter depending on the answer they get tomorrow? And that's the big question.
Well, it will matter to a point, but it won't matter also because that's not them. Anyway, I need to
Yeah.
use the washroom, and I think that we're about done.
Alrighty.
So we'll see you next week. and we're
forward
watching
to it,
in
guys.
YouTube land, we'll know all about what happened afterwards and be like, we're all wrong.
Exactly. You guys are idiots about that thing that didn't happen yet.
Yeah,
Stupid.
stupid. All right, until next time. Methane.
See ya.